friends, welcome back to my channel. I am the Nosy Witch and this is my channel, Nosy Witch Tarot. I do collective pick a card readings here on YouTube and I am so excited to be working with Dossier today because I am going to be using their perfumes, as you can see, for today's reading concept. More about that in a moment. However, today's reading is titled Pick a Perfume, the next sweet thing blooming in your life. Your next era smells divine. So before we get into today's reading, I wanted to take a moment to thank Dossier for working with me on today's video. And excitingly, you can now grab your favourite Dossier fragrances in Boots here in the UK. Now, I was genuinely really excited when Dossier reached out because as somebody on a limited budget, nothing appeals to me more than affordable fragrances inspired by luxury brands. I absolutely love perfumes, but I do not always love luxury perfume prices. And honestly, this felt like the perfect time to reset my fragrance wardrobe a little bit going into the summer months. So Dossier have sent me 4 fragrances and I have genuinely been having the best time testing these out. Our first fragrance is Floral Marshmallow, which is inspired by Love Don't Be Shy. This one is sweet, it's fluffy, it's feminine, and it honestly just makes me feel very, very pretty. It makes me feel like a girly girl. It has notes of marshmallow, neroli, and bergamot at the top. Beautiful white florals throughout the middle, and then amber, vanilla, and musk in the base. To me, this is such a sunshine fragrance. It reminds me of warm afternoons and fresh flowers and cute little cafes and brunch dates and sitting in the park with your iced coffee, just romanticizing your life for absolutely no reason, which I love. You know, it's sweet, but it still feels very grown up and sophisticated to me. Then we have Fruity Almond, inspired by Good Girl. This one feels a little bit different. It has this gorgeous balance between fruity sweetness and these deeper, richer notes that just make it feel really elegant and put together. This one to me is like the perfume equivalent of having your life together. This one to me feels like a summer evening. It feels like having rooftop drinks and getting dressed up just because you feel like it. This is the perfect fragrance to wear when you want to embody that role of somebody who feels completely confident and comfortable in their own skin, when you feel attractive, and when you feel like the main character of your own life. And then we have Ambery Saffron, inspired by, of course, Baccarat Rouge. I'm very sorry about my terrible pronunciation, but this fragrance has that really airy, expensive, kind of hard to describe quality that the original is known for. It's warm, it's sophisticated, it has that sweet little kick, it just smells incredibly luxurious. I do not care that this is a basic B fragrance. Call me a basic B all you want, I love it. They could never make me hate her. To me, this fragrance gives expensive hotel lobby, it's giving linen shirts, it's giving walking around a city on holiday, just feeling effortlessly chic despite the fact that you're carrying a tote bag full of receipts and several melted chocolate bars. Not talking from experience or anything. And if you're wondering whether these actually smell like the fragrances they're inspired by, I mean, when I was testing these, my partner literally walked in the room and asked if I was wearing one of the original fragrances. I'm not going to say which one, but hopefully that answers your question. Now, Dossier were also kind enough to send me one of their brand new fragrances, Lost Americana, and this one is so different from anything else I own. It opens with incense, almond and pink pepper. It has cinnamon, myrrh and nutmeg in the middle, and then it dries down into suede, vanilla, chocolate and patchouli. Oh, it's warm, it's smoky, it's spicy, it's mysterious. It's the kind of fragrance where every time you smell it, you notice something different about it. And honestly, the more I've worn this one, the more obsessed I've become with it. Now, this one is from Dossier's collaboration with Machine Gun Kelly, I believe. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't know a great deal about Machine Gun Kelly. I didn't know that he was interested in fragrances. However, I do vividly remember his episode on Catfish when he co-hosted it with Neve, and I repeat "You Are a Shameful Citizen" at least 1,000 times a day in my head. So that is my experience. That is the extent of my expertise on Machine Gun Kelly. However, when I sprayed this fragrance, I immediately thought, I wonder if Machine Gun Kelly is a Taurus, because Taurus placements just know fragrance. They just do. And this scent captures such a specific vibe. You know, it's comforting, it's luxurious, it's earthy, it's sensual as well, all at the same time. It's very Taurus. And then I looked it up and apparently he does have his sun in Taurus. So I'm not saying I'm psychic, but as a Taurus moon, clearly I recognised something, okay? I also absolutely love the new Dossier packaging. Everything just feels really elevated and beautiful. I've been wearing a different scent every day since these arrived and I'm just having the best time with them. I also love the fact that Dossier are cruelty-free and vegan. That is incredibly important to me and I only really want to work with brands whose values align with my own. And because Dossier are absolute angels, they were kind enough to let me share a little bit of the love with you guys too. So yes, we do have a giveaway. My first ever giveaway. Full transparency, this giveaway is only open to UK residents. I am sorry to my international listeners, I love you all so much, but Dossier have specified that this giveaway is only available within the UK at this point in time. So if you have a UK address and you would like to enter, make sure you subscribe to my channel, follow Dossier on their social media platforms, leave a comment below saying you'd like to enter the giveaway. Please actually mention that you would like to enter specifically because that's how I'll know to include you rather than it just being a random comment. I am going to be using random.org to select 2 winners and then I'll contact you for your details before passing those details on to Dossier so they can send you a little treat. Now, I can't promise exactly when the winners will be announced because if I'm being completely honest, I am already a little bit behind uploading this content. I've been dealing with a health flare-up recently, and as many of you know, I am disabled and sometimes there are periods where filming and editing simply aren't possible for me. I did explain this to Dossier and they were incredibly understanding, which I really appreciated, but I am going to do my absolute best to announce the winners as quickly as possible after this video goes live. So if you're seeing this and you want to enter, definitely get your comment in sooner rather than later, so hopefully we can get prizes out to you nice and quickly. With that said, I want to say a huge thank you to Dossier for working with me on today's video. And to make up for the fact that this video is arriving a little later than originally planned, I decided to appease the fragrance gods by incorporating all 4 of these perfumes into today's reading. So instead of my usual sticker piles, each perfume is going to represent its own unique pile and energy. They all have such different personalities and vibes that I thought it would be really fun to build the reading around them and see what messages come through. So if you've ever wanted to choose your tarot reading based entirely on a perfume, today is apparently your lucky day. With that said, let's get right on into it. With that said, I really wanted to incorporate the perfumes into this video idea today and do something, I guess, a little bit more sensory and more immersive for today's reading. So we're going to be looking at the next sweet thing blooming in your life. So this could be anything that wants to come up, anything good that's going to be happening to you guys. This could be a new relationship, a new friendship. It could be your own healing, your own building of confidence, or it could be like success, finances, opportunities, abundance, creativity, or just a really beautiful new chapter unfolding for you. So instead of choosing from stickers, you guys are going to be choosing from these perfumes today. We have 4 to choose from, as you can see. Now, for those of you who are at this stage used to me doing 5 piles and you prefer that format, please don't worry, my 5 pile readings are not going anywhere. The only reason we're doing 4 piles today is because I have 4 perfumes to work with. Also, it is very, very hot here in the UK today. I think we are currently experiencing a heat wave. If you have any British friends, any friends from the UK, you will notice that we complain all the time about the weather, whether it's cold, whether it's rainy, whether it's hot. And I personally, I like the sun, I really like hot weather, but I think the reason a lot of us people from the UK complain about it is because our infrastructure is not set up for hot weather whatsoever. Like nowhere really has air conditioning. Our houses and our buildings are kind of designed with like keeping in the heat in mind, especially here in the northwest where it's usually always cold and wet and damp. So yeah, it just kind of makes you want to go for a nap when it's this hot. So I'm kind of glad that I'm only doing 4 piles today. Not gonna lie, I'm really excited to do this reading, but like, yeah, I could just go for a nap already. And I've only just started the day, so yeah. Shout out to any UK people who know what I'm talking about. But I'll tell you somewhere that probably does have good air conditioning. Boots. Drugstores, but especially Boots. And, you know, Boots are currently selling Dossier. So a good way for you guys to get out of the heat. I mean, it probably won't even be hot. Like, we'll probably be in a torrential rain pour down by the time I get this video out. But if it's still hot, get yourselves to Boots. I'm sure it's a little bit cooler in there. But yeah, with that said, I also wanted to give you guys the chance to pick from some cards today. If the cards are standing out to you more than the perfumes are, if you guys would maybe struggle to choose a perfume specifically. So these are some beautiful cards from the Earth Alchemy deck. I've had this deck for a really, really long time, but I hardly ever use it from the channel. I think there's something about it that's like a little bit special to me personally. So I feel like I only want to pull it out on special occasions, but Oh my gosh, I just think the artwork is so, so beautiful. I've always loved this deck. I've always felt like a really special connection to it. So I'm sharing these images with you today, hoping that one speaks to you. But yeah, your perfume and your oracle card choice will act as essentially an energy check and a confirmation that you are in the right place. And then we're going to move on to the tarot for a deeper dive into the situation. And we're going to be looking at what's blooming for you and what's coming in next for this new era of your life. So just to go through the piles very briefly, over here we have pile 1 with Garnet and Lady's Mantle, Womb Healing. And for this card, we have the Floral Marshmallow Perfume. Over here we have pile 2 with Septarian Nodules, Wayshower. And we have the Lost Americana Perfume. Over here we have pile 3 with the Lava Stone and Red Hot Poker card, My Body is a Safe Space. And we have the Fruity Almond Perfume for that pile. And over here we have pile 4 with Golden Topaz and Yellow Rose, Abundance. And we have the Ambery Saffron Perfume for pile 4. Now just to note here, you are very welcome to choose more than one pile if more than one pile is calling to you, especially if you feel drawn to one of the perfumes, but maybe to a different image, a different oracle card. You should absolutely trust that. You are absolutely welcome to watch multiple piles. This reading is timeless, so whenever you find this reading is the right time for you to receive it. Please always remember these readings are just a bit of fun, it's a bit of entertainment on the internet, it is never intended to worry you, and of course not every single detail will resonate for you, as these are general readings. Take what resonates for you and leave the rest for somebody else. The examples I give are not to box you in or to tell you that that's the only thing that can happen. They are just examples for you to apply to your situation. You do not have to accept anything as your story if it simply isn't. With that said, you are always welcome to share what resonates with you down below. You genuinely can never overshare too much with me as long as it's done so with kindness. Likes, comments, hype, share, and subscriptions are the best ways to support a small channel like mine, and I appreciate you endlessly if you're able to do any one of those things. With that said, as always, any unkindness, bigotry, or unnecessary negative energy will be banished, rebuked, and returned straight back to sender. I want this to be a safe community, and that includes this being a safe community for me too. This is my channel, and my house rules are non-negotiable. With all of that said, I really hope you enjoy this reading today. Please let me know if you do. I'm sending you guys so much love, and I will see you at your chosen pile collective. Hi Pile 1 Collective! If you chose the Floral Marshmallow Perfume, and you chose the Garnet and Lady's Mantle Womb Healing Oracle card, and you chose the Witchy Magic Tarot. I don't think I mentioned the tarot decks in the intro, but we are using the Witchy Magic Tarot for your pile. Then you are in the right place. Welcome to your reading, friends. This reading is titled Pick a Perfume, the next sweet thing blooming in your life. Your next era smells divine. And without hesitation, let's get right into it by looking at the oracle card you chose, and of course the perfume you chose, to have a look at what's blooming in your life next. I think I'm going to start off by reading from the guidebook for your Garnet and Lady's Mantle Womb Healing card. The card also says Sexual Power, Sovereignty. Amazing. Okay, let's just get in the flow by reading from the book to start off with. So, this is associated with Earth energy, by the way, so Capricorn, Virgo, Taurus could be relevant to you guys, although that does not have to be the case for this to be your pile. So it says, Garnet. To work with Garnet is to gain instant access to your womb space. Its grounded energy brings heart energy through the womb and shows you the vastness of life inside you. It is the portal to a cosmic landscape and is much vaster than we are led to believe. It holds access to the cosmic mother's womb space and the void. It is here Garnet's energy wishes to sit and speak to you. And this is in quotation marks. We are co-creators of life. There are many elements that come together to bring life, whether it is physical life in the form of a baby or creative ideas and endeavours. You are not alone in this. We must look closely at the masculine-feminine balance within you. I am here to activate your womb with Earth's magnetic currents because, to bring new life and ideas forward, we must work on the balance of sexual energy within us. You are a powerful primal being. Over time, your sexuality may have taken a back seat, been manipulated or held by someone else. It is now the time to reclaim your sacred sexuality, to claim your fire and power back, your womb codes. It is time to sit in a peaceful balance within the womb, talking to your Shakti, your Kundalini energy. I am not about heightening and activating it, I am about healing it, to bring nurturing, motherly love to the masculine and feminine aspects of you. I bring a balance to your sexual energy. I revitalize and purify the currents swirling around the base of your spine and connecting with the space where your mother flame and Kundalini energy sit. Lady's Mantle. Her energy is much more delicate and sweeter than Garnet, but she complements its healing message. She brings such a generous spirit, she just wishes to give. In folklore, she is known by her Latin name, Alchemilla, which translates as little alchemist or little magical one. This is the energy she offers, a young, little voice, but very knowing of plant remedies and formulas. She is a plant to sit with if you wish to understand more about other plants. This sounds bizarre, but she is a wealth of information on others. She observes and feels and offers knowledge. A watcher of the plant world, she is a close friend of the birds. The kingfisher is a symbol of positivity and joy, wanting you to let go of past hurts and face your emotions in their birdsong. In this deck, she finds her place nestled in the womb space. She brings slowness and tenderness to your womb space and heart. Known as a woman's herb, she helps a wide range of gynecological problems, painful periods, fibroids, infections, endometriosis, infertility, hot flushes, and postpartum disorders. So some of that could be relevant to you guys. That could be a confirmation. Birds could also be a confirmation. It is energetically that she wishes to work through your womb to nurture fertile soil in the uterus. She speaks to the female reproductive organs, the uterus, fallopian tubes, and ovaries. This is her gift and her offering to you. She wishes to bring vitality, healing, and nurturing. Call her energy to you and grow Lady's Mantle in your womb space. Her gentle energy comes in, rejuvenating and renewing the space once you have worked with Garnet to reclaim and rebalance. With the messages about the reproductive system and fertility and things like that, Scorpio or 8th house energy could also be relevant to this pile. Again, that does not have to be the case. This could be about something transiting your 8th house, and I believe Scorpio rules over the reproductive organs, so I just wanted to mention that. I'm also going to ground this message by spraying a little bit of your perfume. This is one of my favourites. It's inspired, I believe, by Love Don't Be Shy. And those marshmallow notes are so beautiful. Okay, pile 1. So I am getting a definite softness with this pile. There's something very tender and feminine here, but when I say that, it's not all in like a weak kind of way. This to me feels like the energy of somebody slowly returning back to themselves after a potentially very exhausting chapter emotionally, and it could have also shown up spiritually and physically, maybe physically even, or mentally, all of the ways. I just feel like I've listed off all of the ways you could be exhausted, and you're probably listening to this like, yeah, I know, like, no shit, but physically especially, you know, when we were talking about reproductive health and things like that, and like heavy and painful periods or fibroids, you know, that could be relevant for some of you guys. Again, it doesn't have to be relevant to all of you. This can show up physically in different ways, or maybe not even physically at all, but there is a sense of being, you know, kind of drained and exhausted. But I do want to say, you know, with your choice of perfume, and it smells absolutely divine, by the way, it really does. Oh, I love the smell. I'm so glad we started with this perfume. But yeah, even the vibe of the perfume feels important here too, because, you know, Floral Marshmallow, it's a very hyper feminine, cozy, soft, pretty girl, healing kind of vibe to me. That's what it's giving. And it's pink as well. Like, it's this beautiful pink colour. I don't know if it's showing up on camera the way it's showing up in real life, but I love the colour of this scent. But yeah, this feels like the pile of people who love soft knit cardigans. I mean, maybe not right now because it's boiling, but yeah, soft knit cardigans is what I'm getting. Glossy lips, plump lips, like fresh flowers, iced coffees, going to cute little cafes, having a lovely, slow, relaxing morning, cute, dainty jewellery, warm lighting, a nice skincare routine, soft blankets, being all cozy and warm at home. Definitely somebody who likes to romanticize their life a little bit, because there's definitely something comforting about this pile, but still magnetic at the same time. And honestly, I think a lot of you guys either already embody this energy very naturally, or Spirit is encouraging you to reconnect with that energy more, because this perfume to me feels very much like approachable luxury. It's sweet, it's airy, it's feminine, it's warm, it's inviting, but it's still sophisticated. It's not, you know, like a childish kind of sweetness. There's something very sensuous about it to me. It's soft, but like romantic at the same time is what I want to say. I feel like if you guys chose this pile, you could still be in the process of learning that gentleness can be very, very powerful. That is something I want to say. And that softness and openness can attract beautiful things. There's something here about needing to know that you do not need to become detached or cold or emotionally unavailable to kind of protect yourself or to be respected. This energy check, to me, it immediately carries this strong energy of comfort and sweetness and emotional healing. And yeah, that romance, that warmth, that safety. But then even with the scent, you know, it's balanced with these really bright florals, these citrusy notes. So the sweetness, it's not too cloying and it's not too heavy. And I think there's something in that. There's a message in that. And there's something where Spirit is saying, like, yes, softness is returning to your life, but you are absolutely not losing yourself in the process. It's like you're learning balance. And I think, you know, there was something about balance between the masculine and the feminine energy, so that is very, very relevant here. And with us using perfumes today, and this being a very sensory reading, I want to talk a little bit about some of the strongest scents coming through, because even like with Marshmallow, I feel like that is such a beautiful symbol for this pile, because Marshmallow is often associated with soothing emotional overwhelm. It can be about protecting the self and about gentleness and softening after these periods of hardship. So for a lot of you, I genuinely feel like the sweet thing blooming in your life is this sense of peace, this huge sense of emotional peace. You know, you guys feeling calmer within yourself, feeling a lot safer within yourself, feeling less emotionally inflamed by everything around you. And that's so interesting, like, that I use the word inflamed. I don't know why I wanted to use the word inflamed, but it could relate to the body. If something has been inflamed, if you've dealt with inflammation in the body, this could be about that softening, the edges of that not being as painful. And yeah, the notes of like orange blossom and neroli and honeysuckle notes. This pal very much feels like a new beginning after a painful cycle. Yeah, just the words I'm using, like painful cycle, and we were talking about feminine cycles. It all feels like it kind of ties up. But yeah, orange blossom spiritually is very connected to this idea of renewal and abundance, also fertility, like we mentioned, but love, sweetness, prosperity, new chapters, which is what we're asking about, you know, things blooming after this difficulty. It's literally associated with like trees blooming and fruiting at the same time, which is just beautiful symbolism for you guys, because again, I really feel like healing and abundance are happening simultaneously here. You don't have to trade one for the other, it's kind of happening at once. Some of you could have thought maybe you need to fully heal before good things are allowed to happen, and Spirit's kind of stepping in like, no, you know, life can bloom while you're doing the healing. And yeah, neroli feels important here too, because again, neroli can be associated with emotional healing and heart healing, easing anxiety, opening of the heart chakra. So heart chakra could be relevant specifically. It can be associated with helping highly sensitive people stop absorbing absolutely everything around them. So some of you, if you have been emotionally exhausted, if you feel like you've been carrying everybody else's emotions, everybody else's expectations, everybody else's problems for far too long, then the neroli and this beautiful honeysuckle is bringing this really beautiful energy of devotion and joy and sweetness and intuition and soul connections. But also there's something about releasing attachment to the past in this huge way. So yeah, this sweetness blooming in your life, it absolutely could be about moving forward emotionally, letting go of grief or regret or old heartbreaks or old versions of yourself, maybe old fears around intimacy, maybe fears around vulnerability or ability to receive love. That could absolutely apply. But yeah, referring back to the guidebook, you know, womb healing could absolutely connect to this energy. Themes surrounding fertility, pregnancy, motherhood, parenthood, reproductive healing, periods, hormonal healing, you know, even as confirmations, if this applies to you, like obviously these readings are not medical, I am not a medical professional, but just if it's extra confirmation, I do want to mention, if it will make you feel seen, endometriosis, polycystic ovaries, menopause, perimenopause, schmectual healing. Sorry, I have to say it like that. I don't know how much YouTube will allow me to say. But yeah, healing shame around the body or intimacy, or reclaiming your agency in that primal schmectual way, or reconnecting with your femininity or your masculinity, or healing trauma stored within the body. But I think womb healing can go far beyond the spiritual. It talks about life and creation itself. The womb space is often seen as this center of creativity and emotion and intuition and sensuality and manifestation, like literally creation itself. So for many of you, whether you have a womb or not, whether you are a feminine or not, this could be about reconnecting with your life force and your creative energy again after a period of burnout. This could be bringing life back into yourself after feeling numb for some time. This could be healing your relationship with receiving. This could be you feeling inspired again or feeling passionate again, feeling more connected to yourself again for the first time in a long time. And yeah, there's something about sovereignty, like you claiming this, claiming your power and energy. Maybe reclaiming your body, reclaiming your voice after you feel like something was taken from you for a period of time. Learning to speak up and reclaiming your boundaries, that's coming through strong as well, because I think honestly, some of you might have spent too much time over-giving, people-pleasing. We mention this in readings all the time, but a lot of us struggle with this, healing from that kind of thing. It's not a linear journey all of the time, and that's okay, right? That's okay. It's okay to not be able to assert all of your boundaries at once, like this is a learning process. But if you have found yourself emotionally carrying others or, abandoning yourself at times in order to do that or in order to keep the peace, not feeling safe enough to advocate for yourself or have that agency, this next chapter very much feels like spirit bringing you back home to yourself in every way possible, physically, emotionally, spiritually, and energetically as well. And yeah, you don't have to have earth placements, but that was coming through earlier, like Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. Obviously, that's not going to be for everybody, but there could be something about those energies, like, because this period in your life feels very fertile, it feels grounded, it feels abundant, it feels, I want to say a little bit slower because, earth energy, it can move kind of slow, but it's in a healthy way. It's in a way where, like, you've maybe needed to slow down for quite some time, and it's not going to hold you back, it's going to be the making of you. And honestly, Pile 1, I feel like the sweetest thing blooming in your life, it's not just one external thing, I think it's the return of you to yourself. But with that said, I think this would be a great time to move into the tarot. So let's have a look at what we pulled for you, Pile 1. So starting on the left, we have got the Ace of Pentacles. That's beautiful for like new things blooming reading. And clarifying the Ace of Pentacles, we have the Seven of Swords. Okay, makes sense. We have got the Knight of Cups, gorgeous. And clarifying the Knight of Cups, we have the Four of Wands. Yeah, don't worry, you're going to be celebrating yourself. And from here, we have the Knight of Pentacles in reverse. And clarifying the Knight of Pentacles in reverse, we have the Four of Swords. Yeah, taking things slower, slowing it right back down, getting back to basics, relaxing. Some of you guys need that, okay? We have the Moon. Clarifying the Moon. We have the Chariot. Things are about to get moving. So don't worry if you were a little bit like, oh no, when I mentioned slowness. Things are on the move. I want to tell you that first of all. So I really feel like your tarot cards, essentially, this is a continuation of everything we were just talking about in your energy check. So hopefully you're in the right place. But especially in terms of this idea of like emotional safety and softness. And I don't know if we mentioned, but like nervous system healing. And we definitely mentioned reclaiming yourself and like learning to receive and allowing good things into your life without like immediately expecting them to just disintegrate in your hands. We were talking about healing that. And yeah, this is an absolute continuation of that energy because the very first thing we have is that Ace of Pentacles clarified by the Seven of Swords. And immediately, this feels like a new opportunity or a new chapter entering your life after a period where you may have been functioning in survival mode for way longer than you even realized. I don't even necessarily think here that the Seven of Swords is talking about like a massive deception or betrayal from another person. Although for some of you, maybe there has been some element of that. You could have dealt with somebody's dishonesty or heartbreak or disappointment, like situations where your trust was fundamentally broken and, those moments where it felt like they were taking advantage of your kindness, you could have dealt with things like that. But quite honestly, I think for a lot of you, this feels more connected to the ways that you may have had to emotionally survive in these difficult moments, like you deceiving yourself or some element of like self-betrayal or self-abandonment in the process. So one example could be becoming hyper-independent because relying on people never felt safe. This could be minimizing your own needs. This could be carrying everything quietly by yourself or, pretending you were okay when you weren't. Always trying to stay emotionally manageable for other people, for everyone else around you at the expense of yourself. And, maybe continuing to tell yourself that this could go on or it would be okay. But it wasn't. And I feel like some of you, it's like you became so used to emotionally bracing for disappointment that even receiving good things felt unfamiliar or unsafe. Because with that Ace of Pentacles, this very much feels like Spirit is going to be placing something solid and something grounded and something very genuine into your life. And it's something that you can't argue with. That's what I want to say, because sometimes it's like you guys will get a sign, but you don't fully trust it. A sign, I mean that something better is coming. Sorry, I didn't clarify that. My mind is like a little bit all over the place today. But it's like you'll get a sign that something good is happening, but yeah, you don't fully trust it. You're like, it's too good to be true, or no, I can't have that. But that was the deception element. But this Ace of Pentacles is going to be that solid, tangible thing that you cannot deny its reality. It is being put right in front of you. It's like you can hold it, you can feel it. It's this earthly thing. You can't deny its existence. That's something I keep getting. And it's something that has the potential to grow properly this time, instead of like collapsing or turning to dust in your hands, or yeah, breaking down underneath you. It's something that you see growing in front of you. So you can't say it's not growing because you're holding it and it's getting bigger and bigger. Wow, this sounds... I know we were talking a lot about like sexual power and things, but I'm sorry, I'm so childish. Like, yeah, it's getting bigger in your hands. It starts off like soft and malleable, but then it's growing like hard and firm in your hands. That's all I'm going to say. Oh my god, I'm sorry. Right, okay. I think the heat is getting to me today. But yeah, not that kind of reading. Not that kind of reading, Nosy Witch. Let's rein this in. But yeah, something is growing is the main thing I wanted to say. Is the sweet thing happening in your life. Let's just say that. And I want to try and give you some examples that aren't absolutely vile, childish jokes. Because with this Pentacles energy, I do think for many of you, this will be manifesting in these very, very real world ways. Like I say, ways that are unignorable. So for some of you, this could look like a healthier relationship dynamic, maybe financial stability improving. This could be a new home or a safer environment. This could be an actual new job or an opportunity or an interview that you passed. This could be some form of healing around your physical body. This could be like a physical confirmation of an improvement in your fertility, or maybe for some of you, like an actual positive pregnancy. That obviously won't be for everyone, but it could be something like that, something moving positively in the right direction. Even if pregnancy isn't something you want, we can still get benefits from like having a healthy cycle, for example, or something like that. This could be working on rebuilding self-worth. It could absolutely be like a new medication that works or an improvement in your health, seeing the visible results show up. It could be a change in your body that you have been hoping for, you've been working on, like maybe something to do with a fitness routine. But it could be like taking your body and the physical stuff out of the equation for just a moment. It could be starting a creative project, and instead of like procrastinating or putting it off, you are actually doing the tangible work. This could be building a solid but softer lifestyle for yourself. Or it could just be you feeling a lot more grounded after a period of chaos. But I think what Spirit is emphasizing for you is that this next chapter, it's not supposed to feel chaotic. And that's why it's so sweet. It's not supposed to feel like you chasing or proving or begging for something or over-explaining or just surviving. It's supposed to feel soft and it's supposed to feel safe. And you know, we have the Knight of Cups clarified by the Four of Wands. And I feel like that is just such a sweet combination in and of itself. This genuinely feels like emotional fulfillment entering your life, perhaps after a period where you have, felt a sense of disconnection from yourself, or maybe you have felt lonely or exhausted or burnt out or just like deeply misunderstood by some of the people around you. It's going to get sweeter because you're going to feel this sense of belonging in a huge way. And, for some of you, this absolutely could be romance. I can't ignore that with these cards, especially with like the romantic kind of schmexual messages coming through. But like with the Knight of Cups and the Four of Wands, these two together, like that could absolutely present itself as something sweet in the sense of like romantic offer or an emotional confession. If you're already seeing someone or in a relationship, this could be a relationship milestone. It could be connecting with some form of soulmate, somebody who gets you. This could also be like If we talk about milestones, it could be engagements or moving in together, weddings, or it could just be meeting somebody romantically or platonically, somebody who actually gets you and like somebody who makes you feel emotionally safe. And with what we've talked about when it comes to like your nervous system and healing and allowing yourself to receive love and just be loved instead of like constantly guarding yourself against it, I feel like that just makes a whole lot of sense because it does not feel chaotic. It feels like everything happening naturally, you know, not something that's hot and cold, something where you have to like guess the intentions and it's emotionally confusing. This feels very intentional and like everyone is being considered. It feels like there's a lot of emotional availability here, and again, like this sense of belonging. But yeah, even outside of romance, this could translate into like building a home and building a family, and that being something to do with this emotional fulfillment and you finding yourself. So this could be about friendships and community, family healing, feeling at home within yourself, creating a peaceful environment, or just like reconnecting with joy again, or reconnecting with your creativity and that life force energy again. The Four of Wands to me just absolutely screams emotional safety. Like, just finally being around people and finally being in environments where your body does not feel like it's in fight or flight mode all the time. Which sounds dramatic, but maybe that's how some of you guys could have felt. It's you, like you're not feeling as though you have to monitor everybody else's emotions all the time. And honestly, I think this sweetness coming into your life, it's going to make you feel like you don't want to go back to how things were before, because I think it's going to make some of you guys realize how exhausted you actually were beforehand when it felt like you had to do some of this stuff. And when your nervous system is calm, it just, you just breathe a sigh of relief. It's just this massive sigh of relief. And then we have the Knight of Pentacles reversed, clarified by that Four of Swords. I feel like this could be Spirit. I'm not gonna lie. It's like Spirit is forcing some of you guys to slow down, because I think a lot of you for a long time have been surviving through like overworking, overgiving, overthinking maybe as well, like people pleasing, picking up the emotional labor or other forms of labor that it doesn't feel like you get kind of thanked for, or, you know, like constantly being productive, constantly feeling like you have to earn rest instead of believing that you fundamentally deserve it just for existing. And I feel like this pile, we keep circling back to this lesson again, that softness is not weakness. It's not, because the Knight of Pentacles reversed, that does feel like burnout to me, I'm not gonna lie. Some of you feel, yeah, just exhausted, physically exhausted, emotionally exhausted, creatively exhausted, cognitively, spiritually. Some of you do genuinely need like more sleep, more rest, more nourishment, more boundaries, but also more softness and peace and quiet with yourself, and maybe some more time away from emotionally draining situations. More like, what I want to say is being intentional with your routines as well. And when I say intentional, it doesn't mean necessarily like, even if we're talking about skincare or something like that, it doesn't mean when I say intentional that you have to like have the 15-step skincare routine and you have to do it every single day. It's realizing like what you can be consistent with and implementing that. Like, so whether it's just, you know, a serum, a moisturizer, and your SPF, if that is manageable for you, a 3-step routine, whatever, then do that. Like, be intentional with it though. Make sure you create something and cultivate something that works for you and your body and your routine, your lifestyle. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it has to serve you. Obviously, that's just one example. It doesn't have to be that example for you, but it does feel like, yeah, some of you are, I don't want to say being forced, because you're not being forced to do anything. I think you know that this has been a long time coming for a period of time, but you kept telling yourself you couldn't, or maybe external voices told you that you couldn't slow down. Maybe, because I don't know, do I? Like, I don't know what's going on in all of your lives personally. There are some things where like it makes it impossible to slow down. Like if you have somebody depending on you for care, for instance, like a child or an older relative or a disabled friend or partner or something. Like, I'm not saying that those things are gonna not still be there, but I do feel like the sweet thing happening is that things are gonna start to feel easier, so that you are forced to think about you for a second, because you've not been thinking about you, pile one. Not always anyway, not enough, I will say that. So the ability to do that is going to be granted to you. And I think actually like Spirit feels very protective over you here, because that Four of Swords almost feels like this retreat, this protective healing chamber is what I want to say. Some of you could maybe be having a spa break soon. I don't know, when I said chamber, I know they have those what is it called, oxygen chambers or something. I don't know whether that's a confirmation for anyone, but I was thinking of like a sauna for some reason, like a spa. I don't know, that could be relevant. But yeah, it's like spirit is trying to create this little bit of space around you so that your body and your mind can breathe again. Some of you might notice yourselves naturally withdrawing a little bit during this next chapter. Again, like wanting quieter environments or slower mornings. And I know some of you will be like, well, I have this and this to do. Like my morning is always chaotic. It's always rushed because I have to get the kids ready and I have to do this and I have to get to work on time. And it's always like chaos. And I get that, like, you know, life doesn't stop for any of us. But it could just be something like stepping away from some form of overstimulation. And realizing that that is sweeter for you in the process. So if you are always used to like playing loud music in the morning when you get ready, maybe this is you actually, instead of playing the loud music, like having a few minutes away and not putting on a podcast, not listening to music, just, you know, enjoying your coffee or your breakfast outside in silence, and actually realizing that that is sweeter for you than the music. And, you know, that's not saying if you're a big music lover and you love blasting your music, it's not saying you can't do that. It's just saying that maybe there's like a time and a place and you've discovered it's sweeter for you to have a bit of silence where you would normally fill up that silence with noise or a show or music, if you know what I mean. So yeah, it could be like more grounding activities, more alone time, and having more intentional friendships. Like maybe not forcing yourself to say yes and socialize if actually you would just rather be alone one day of the weekend. Do you know what I mean? Like if some of you guys didn't think that was a good enough excuse is what I want to say. Like maybe previously if somebody invited you somewhere and you didn't feel like going, you would feel like, oh, but I have to like have an excuse not to go. Like I'll have to tell them I'm busy, or I'll have to say I'm not feeling very well or something like that. This could be you asserting your boundaries by saying, oh, do you know what? Like, that sounds amazing. I'd love to go next time, but this weekend I just want to be by myself. I want to go hermit mode. I want to have a relaxing weekend in silence. And that's okay. Like, you're allowed to say that. So it's about being intentional with your time and energy. I think that's going to be really healthy for you and really sweet for you in this next chapter, Power 1. And then we have the moon, clarified by the Chariot. And I feel like this moon is everything we talked about earlier in the reading. It's the intuition, it's the emotional depth and the sensitivity, it's the healing, it's that feminine mother energy. It could also relate to dreams, anxiety, maybe some old fears surfacing, that emotional overwhelm. It's things finally coming up to the surface to be processed properly instead of buried. And then here's that Chariot coming in and saying like, yes, we're doing it. We're moving forward. There's no stopping us now. We are on a roll with this. And I feel like, Power 1, that's honestly one of the biggest messages that Spirit wants you to understand in this reading. And it's this message that you guys do not need to become perfectly healed before beautiful things are allowed into your life. Okay, some of you need to hear that. You do not need to like completely conquer every single fear before love or before friendship arrives. You know, people say that, like, there is a thing, and I think there's nuance to this. I don't think it's as black and white. Like, obviously, if we have some absolutely huge glaring issues, then yes, I think it's important to say like, oh, maybe I should work on myself before getting into a relationship or before doing XYZ. But I think it's also important to understand that we are never like fully healed. There's never ever going to be a point that we reach where we're like, oh, I'm done now. Like, I'm done growing as a person. I've done everything I need to do. And if you ever do reach that point, if any of us reach that point, I think we are doing ourselves a massive disservice in terms of our evolution spiritually as humans, because there's always something to do. But sometimes we are allowed to just be. Like, we do not need to fully be fixed or completely healed before we accept good things. Because I think sometimes as well, especially when it comes into relationships, I'm not saying that somebody else should heal you. Like, ultimately, we have to do that work ourselves. But sometimes we don't know what needs healing until we are interacting with another person, and those emotions or those fears that are buried come to the surface, and we have to work through them when they arrive. But we might have not even known they were there had we not been presented with this person and with that relationship. Do you know what I mean? Don't know if I'm explaining that very well. I have a lot of brain fog today, I'm sorry. Which is funny because the moon, the moon is kind of a little bit brain foggy to me. But yeah, like, you do not have to fully fix yourself before you experience this creativity and intimacy and softness and joy and all the emotional fulfillment that you deserve. That is allowed to bloom for you right now. And it is blooming for you right now. Like, That Chariot feels like a whole lot of movement after stagnancy. It's finally beginning to emotionally move forward after carrying this heaviness for what feels like a long time. So if you've been putting off something because you feel like it's not the perfect time, I think this is Spirit saying, like, you're allowed the sweet things now, and you better get ready because the sweet things are coming. So, you know, this, I'm thinking of examples, but this could be traveling. It could be moving home, changing your environment, getting started with an old project or a new project, just reconnecting with your creativity in some way. It could be healing your relationship with your sexuality or your femininity or your masculinity. Yeah, healing your body or your nervous system. It could be allowing yourself to receive help. It could be starting those healthier relationships. It could be prioritizing your own emotional well-being. And overall, I think it's a lot about becoming softer and more open without losing your strength and the thing that makes you you. And I think Power One, the sweetest thing blooming in your life, is absolutely that emotional safety that we've been talking about. And it's not just an external thing, it's internally too. I think you guys are in the process of creating a life where your nervous system, your heart, your body, and your spirit no longer feels like they have to constantly brace for this impact. And that feels so, so beautiful to me, Power One. So that is what I'm getting for your reading today, and that's where I'm going to leave you today, my loves. I really, really hope you enjoyed this reading today. If you did like the reading, please let me know. Please like the video. Please comment if you get a chance. You can never overshare too much with me. If you don't feel comfortable letting me know what resonated, even just telling me which pile you picked or leaving an emoji or whatever you want to do would be absolutely amazing just in terms of this video's engagement. All of that, likes, comments, hype, shares, subs are the best way to support a small channel, a small creator like me, and any of that would just mean the absolute world to me if you took a moment out of your day to do that. Just lets me know you like the readings and you won't mind seeing more of them. With that said, I just want to thank you so, so much for being here. Sending lots of love to you. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one, Power One. Hi, Pal 2 Collective. If you chose the Lost Americana Perfume and you chose this Wayshower card, and I don't think I mentioned the tarot deck we're going to be using, but we are going to be using the Three Trees Tarot Volume 2. If you chose those, you are in the correct place. So welcome to your reading, friends. This reading is titled Pick a Perfume, the next sweet thing blooming in your life. Your next era smells divine. And without hesitation, let's get right into it. We're going to start off by looking at your Earth Alchemy Oracle card that you've chosen, the Septarian Nodules, Wayshower, Shake Up the System, Cellular Upgrades. We're going to talk about the perfume you chose too, but I'm actually going to start your reading by reading from the Earth Alchemy guidebook, just regarding this Wayshower card. This is related to Earth energy, by the way, according to the guidebook. Power 1, I think we also got Earth energy, but Virgo, Taurus, Capricorn could be relevant, of course. That does not have to apply for this to be your pile. But this says, Septaria comes to shake things up and reground you in a very connected way to your Earth Star chakra. It is a very shamanic stone, connecting to the elemental divas of this earth, often called a dragon stone, because it connects with the raw elemental energies. They were formed in shallow lakes 145 million years ago. When the nodules dried up, cracks formed in them and were filled up with silica, quartz, and calcite. These cracks were thought to have been due to dehydration and shrinkage, and earthquakes or compaction. This is a big indication of its ancient grandfather energy and how it wishes to assist you. It grew from elemental shakeups, earthquakes, within the earth, and it brings this gift to you. It wishes to take your energy into the earth to sit in the foundations of your Earth Star chakra. It is a time of soul growth and a leveling up through your lower chakras, which are expanding to support the higher vibrational light anchored through you. An earthquake stirs the earth, parts the soil, and sends electric pulses out through the grids. This is the energy Septaria brings to you. It stirs your energy and clears pathways with electromagnetic pulses that can be moved and felt through all energetic pathways in your body. If you are wishing for change and finding yourself stuck in the energetic mud, it will bring the movement needed to propel you forward. You are a powerful mix of elemental energies, light, sound, flames, and rays gathered in your body. You are like Septaria. You can part ways, create new pathways, shake up systems. If you choose to, you can harness so much more of the Earth's energies than you currently are. It assists women in connecting to their womb. Oh, that's interesting because we got a similar message in Power 1. Don't know if some of you were drawn to Power 1. Sorry, interrupted myself. In connecting to their womb in a very deep and primordial way. It creates pathways of light through the womb portal to support you through your inner work, releasing along the feminine/mother line within you. If this card chooses you, it wants to bring your ancient origins close to support you at this time of leveling up. It wants to hold you through your connection to the void, the cosmic mother's womb of creation. Okay, we will talk more about that in a few moments. But I also want to open this reading by spraying the perfume you've chosen, Lost Americana. That's very spicy, smoky, mysterious. That's a really interesting scent. I like it though. Okay, pal 2. This pal feels, I want to say, very disruptive, but in the best possible way. This is like that feeling of, you know, when you kind of shake yourself awake when you're in like a dream. You know, one of those dreams where you like dream that you're falling off a cliff or something and then you kind of jolt awake. It's that sort of feeling, but it's like shaking back into yourself and becoming more yourself again. That's one of the bigger messages that I'm getting here. Because even with the perfume you chose, Lost Americana, there's a very sort of bold, unconventional, slightly intimidating energy to this fragrance. It is smoky, like definitely spicy as well, but there's also like an earthiness and a warmth. There's something a little bit mysterious about it, something sensual. This feels like a kind of scent worn by someone who is not interested in fitting neatly into a box, is something that I want to say, which comes through a lot in my readings, but this is what this scent encompasses to me personally. I guess like fragrances are subjective, but yeah, that's what I'm getting. This pile is given to me very much this energy of like black sheep of the family, or this creative outsider, this person who is never meant to follow the crowd. That's what's coming through. And I think the sweet thing blooming in your life is connected to this deep sense of authenticity that you're moving into, because even with the notes in this fragrance, so many notes are like connected to awakening and transformation and emotional honesty, intuition as well, things like that. But yeah, like stepping onto your own path, even when other people maybe do not fully understand it yet. And I think, you know, the Wayshower is definitely a big sign of that too. You know, this talks about shaking up the system, maybe what you're here to do, pal 2. But yeah, I want to talk about the standout notes. So in this fragrance, we have Almond as a major one, and that's really standing out to me. Almond spiritually can be associated with awakening and rebirth. It can talk about promises that unfold after like difficult seasons of life, and it can also talk about divine watchfulness. But yeah, it can definitely relate to like the first signs of life returning after winter, that sort of vibe. And that feels really important here because it seems like many of you have been maybe in like a period of stagnancy recently, maybe a period of feeling stuck or feeling disconnected from your own purpose and your personal power. Maybe some of you have like not lost, but you feel a little bit uninspired, like the creativity isn't flowing as well as perhaps it once was. Or maybe some of you feel like it's hard to be creative because you have simply outgrown a certain environment, but you're not really sure what kind of comes next. It feels more like a sort of waiting era. That's how it's felt anyway. And what I want to say is Spirit feels very, very present around this pile specifically. I know that sounds a little bit dramatic, but very genuinely here, this pile feels very spiritually guided. Some of you, as little extra confirmations, you guys might notice repeated signs, vivid dreams, synchronicities, repeating numbers, little intuitive hits from Spirit. Or maybe like sometimes just it'll come out as a random burst of inspiration. Maybe something happens in a dream and the next day you remember it when normally perhaps you don't remember all of your dreams in that level of detail, but something about it stood out to you and you're like, oh, like I actually want to write a story about this, or this is inspiring an art piece that I'm working on, or something like that. It could just be these little nudges of life beginning to shift and something cracking open beneath the surface. Something's about to erupt and the ground is going to be trembling like an earthquake. But then yeah, with this scent, we also have pink pepper, and pink pepper spiritually is all about courageous vulnerability, and it's sometimes associated with like sort of softening the emotional armor that we might carry. So for some of you, this next chapter, what's blooming for you in a beautiful way, could actually involve you finally allowing yourselves to be seen properly. But I think what's most important, because some of you are like, oh, well, I am being seen or I am putting myself out there and I don't know, maybe it's going somewhere, maybe it's not, maybe you feel at a little bit of a stuck place with whatever this is, but there's something major here about what's being seen is like not the version of yourself that you think is palatable or you think performs the best. It's the real authentic version of you is what I want to say. And I feel like for some of you that thought is really, really scary. I think some of you are a little bit terrified by that because some of you, it's like you've been brave enough to put yourself out there with something, but it feels almost like you've been testing the waters because authenticity is hard. I feel like that's an understatement, isn't it? Like authenticity is hard. I don't know, in some regards, it's like some of you are so deeply connected to yourselves and like, you know, you're the black sheep and you know you're here to shake up the system. But then in other ways, there's something where it's like you are still, I don't know if editing yourselves is the right word, but like not performing either. I mean, maybe. I'm kind of talking to myself at this point. But what's interesting is like, normally I only start speaking when I figured out the sentence that I want to say in my head. And here I am like not editing myself out as much. I mean, obviously I will do editing and there'll be times when I like stumble over my words and I edit it out, of course. But there's something here about that with you guys where like, there's this pull to like just show up as is and not filter things so hard. Like if you say something, there isn't this overwhelming urge maybe to go back on what you said. You're kind of like, I said what I said. And maybe the previous version of you would be like, oh, but I didn't mean it like that, or I'm concerned with how that bluntness might come across. Maybe I should word this in a more palatable way to make sure that I am understood and seen by everyone in the way I want to be understood and perceived and seen. But there's less of that. It's more like I said what I said, and I'm not rushing in to edit it. I'm not rushing in to change it. It'll be taken how it's taken, but that is me being my authentic self, and the right people will understand where I'm coming from. It's that sort of thing. Because some of you could have previously, you know, been the type of person where, I don't want to say everything was a performance, because that's not what I mean. You guys are authentic, but you might have been concerned with, will this be interpreted in the way that I am intending it to be interpreted? And you are being less concerned about that in this new era that you're stepping into. I hope that makes sense. And if it doesn't, fuck it, because we're trying to be more authentic. And that is the way that, even with all my brain fog, and by the way, I do have a neurological disability, so I unfortunately, you know, do get messed up with my words a lot of the time, but I hope the right people know where I'm coming from and what I mean. And even if I'm not the most articulate with it due to my disability, I'm trying my best and I'm being honest, and that's all I can be. And I don't know why I have the urge to share this, but I think there's something in that. It feels like you guys have always been people, though, who naturally challenge norms. It feels like you guys are people who are ahead of the trends, people who have always thought a little bit differently, maybe dressed a little bit differently, you create things differently, you just approach life very differently. Aquarius energy here wouldn't surprise me either, strong Uranus placements. You guys could naturally be people who disrupt systems everywhere you go, and people who maybe make others question the way that things have always been done and following traditions. But I think that has led to some of you feeling at times like you have spent a big portion of your life being misunderstood, or putting yourself down for these very qualities that make you so beautifully, uniquely sweet and who you are. Because authenticity, no matter which form it comes in, is sweet. And when I talk about authenticity, it's not like, because I think sometimes people, and I don't know why I'm going off on a tangent here, but I think sometimes people use like, oh, I'm being my authentic self. I'm not talking about that as an excuse to be cruel or mean. Like when people use the phrase brutally honest, and you can tell sometimes that those people much prefer the brutalness aspect to the honesty. It's not really about being honest. It's about having a false sense of power by making somebody else feel smaller. You know those types of people who are like, oh, I'm just being honest, after saying the most horrendous thing you have ever heard. Yeah? If you've ever met someone like that, I'm not talking about that. We have to sometimes be cautious with our words because words matter. They do have impact. They do carry meaning. But there's a difference between like saying something hurtful versus saying something and being honest about who you are in a way where it shouldn't affect somebody else that much. And if it does, that is on them because it doesn't involve them. Obviously, there's a big difference between those things. But sometimes people make you feel like you're the problem if you are the one who naturally disrupts systems just by being who you are and living life on your terms the way you want to, even if it shouldn't affect anybody else. And that can be difficult, you know, that sense of not belonging. Yeah, it's a kind of lost Americana. It's a lost feeling. It's like a floating around in space sort of feeling. You know that there's something different about you, other people do too, but they can't quite place it, and it makes them feel uncomfortable, and it makes them want to chuck a label on you or box you in. What's interesting about this perfume as well is that it's a different label to all the other ones, I think because it's a new one. I think Dossier are like changing their packaging. I don't know if all the labels look like that, like in the new style, but yeah, it's different to the ones that I have. So that's just interesting as well. Like, you're always just offbeat with people around you. But it's in a really cool way, because I really like the font and this label. I think it looks interesting compared to the others. But yeah, you guys, you definitely feel like people where you're here to shake things up in some kind of way. Now, when I say that, it does not mean that every single one of you needs to like quit your job tomorrow and become this spiritual guru online and do something really unconventional. That's not what I mean at all. But I do feel like this is the energy of people who just naturally create change around them everywhere they go. So, you know, some tangible examples that you may or may not relate to, and it's okay if you don't, or it's okay if you relate to just one. But you guys could be, you know, the person in your family who it feels like you are always breaking generational cycles. You could be the friend who encourages people to heal emotionally. You guys, this could involve some element of you becoming more visible creatively online. This could be starting an unconventional business or changing careers out of the blue. This could be speaking up and using your voice, talking openly about things that other people have been avoiding. This could be you just upping and leaving from toxic environments, like leaving things behind that you've outgrown. Friendships, relationships, work, whatever. This could be you becoming more authentically expressive in your own personal style or identity. And it doesn't matter what people say about that. It doesn't matter whether they say like, oh, but you suit your hair like this, or you should do this, or why are you dressed like that? Fuck it, it doesn't matter. The sweetness is you giving yourself permission to be yourself. And I feel like in the process of this, it's like, one big sweet thing about it is that you allow people around you to feel safe enough to be themselves too. There's kind of this like I'm seeing this imagery of you slipping a permission slip to someone, like your authenticity gives other people their autonomy back. Like, they look at you and they say, you know, maybe I could do that too, or maybe I could do something different, maybe I could be more myself. And yeah, just talking about some of the notes in this perfume again, you know, that suede note specifically, I feel like suede, you know, connects to this sense of grounding and self-worth and this like layer of emotional protection. But there's a softness to it as well. It's like embodying your truth without, you know, maybe needing that external validation. That feels like a lesson within this chapter of your life getting sweeter. And, you know, those chocolatey and those cinnamon notes, I feel like they bring warmth and abundance, prosperity, creativity, passion, manifestation, and a lot of like emotional richness into this pile as well. And this, like, when I talk about abundance and prosperity and all of that, it does not feel like this sort of surface level success. This feels like you guys building a life that feels much more genuine and aligned with who you are at that soul level. And yeah, this Wayshower card that's coming through, shake up the system, cellular upgrades, this feels like everything getting a big reset, like you, body, mind, spirit, something is like shaking you up in the best way possible. There's a massive energetic level up here. And when we went through the guidebook, obviously we talked a lot about earthquakes and energetic shifts and these pathways opening up, like systems being shaken, like the ground beneath you being torn apart essentially by an earthquake so something new can rebuild in its place. I'm hearing the cracks had to open, the cracks had to come undone, something like that. And yeah, it feels like Spirit is wanting to show this to you because there is something where you have outgrown a current reality. I know that sounds kind of intense, but this pile feels like people who I'm hearing can't continue to slumber. You can't stay over at the slumber party. Like, you leave the slumber party part way through or something like that. You take your bag, you're out the door, and maybe your friends are saying to you, like, oh no, you can't just leave, it's 3 a.m, like, what will my mum and dad think, or something. And you're like, fuck it, I've got to go. Like, I don't belong here. I don't know, there's something about that. I'm getting that vision. I get the randomest downloads sometimes. But yeah, there's something here about old versions of your life cracking open, all the way open, so something more aligned can emerge, which can feel a little bit uncomfortable while you're in it. And, you know, maybe that's something you're going through right now. And just to give like a few tangible examples, this could be you currently thinking about leaving a friendship circle, like changing friendship groups. This could be you thinking about changing careers, or you're between jobs right now and you're not quite sure what to apply for or go for or what you officially want to do. Maybe you're thinking about like education or school or courses, but you just don't know, like there's not been a solid path. This could be you questioning your beliefs and whether you're surrounded by people and environments that align with your current or your evolving beliefs. This could be going through these big spiritual awakenings where everything you thought you knew has been put into question. This could be moving locations, you're between houses or something like that. But yeah, there's also that layer of like deciding, you know, maybe whether to put yourself out there authentically. So that could relate to like becoming more visible online, or, you know, actually like putting some of your creative work out there, or healing your relationship to your voice and with sharing that voice. It could be leaving survival mode or breaking out of people pleasing and just becoming less afraid of judgment, kind of saying like, F it, I don't care, like what happens happens. And yeah, honestly, the Wayshower on this card, you just feel like somebody who leads by existing authentically. It doesn't feel like this vibe of, you know, you getting up and standing on a stage and preaching to people, but just somebody whose life kind of naturally inspires other people to question things and to heal their own shit and to evolve in their own way. It's not, you know, you telling people be exactly like me and follow my lifestyle. Some of you, your lifestyle could be changing in a massive way, but it's not so you can go and preach about how amazing you are. It's so you can inspire other people to, you know, do what's never been done in their own lives. You may quite naturally be the person that people come to for advice or for a different perspective. You're just someone who shows others that there are different ways to live and to work or to love or to create or heal or just to exist in this world. Yeah, so I think the sweetest thing blooming in your life is you fully becoming yourself without apology, pal too. And that feels like a great place to move along to your tarot. So over here on the left, we have got the Hanged Man. Clarifying the Hanged Man, we have got the Star. Oh yeah. So hope returning, you know, after a period of waiting that we were talking about. We have got the Six of Wands reverse, and okay, wound around visibility maybe, and clarifying that we have Judgment, okay, renewal, awakening, beautiful. Over here we have got the Knight of Pentacles, and clarifying the Knight of Pentacles, we have the Eight of Pentacles, effort and reward, and we have got the Moon. We got the Moon in pile 1, and clarifying the Moon, we have got the Chariot. No way, no fucking way. This exact pairing came through in pile 1, like this exact pairing, the Moon and the Chariot. So definitely some of you guys could be coming from pile 1, or you weren't sure which one to pick. Oh my god, that's crazy. I love when we get these synchronicities. So the interesting thing is, and I love when this happens, is that the tarot is essentially reinforcing everything we've already been talking about in your energy check, especially around these themes of authenticity and spiritual awakening, and, you know, sometimes feeling different from other people or like outgrowing old versions of ourselves. And yeah, that sense of like stepping into that life that actually feels aligned instead of just like, this is just what people do, this is acceptable, this is how I'll continue. Because the very first thing I'm noticing here is that Hanged Man clarified by the Star, the first cards we pulled, and that honestly feels exactly like what we were talking about when we were talking about like the Almond energy and this thing about like awakening after winter, that symbolism we were discussing. It feels like many of you have been in this limbo for a while now, right? Like in any way, it could be physically, it could be emotionally, spiritually, creatively. You're waiting for something, to be answered, and the answer hasn't come. Things have felt paused or suspended in midair somehow. You've been waiting for this movement, waiting for clarity, waiting for inspiration to hit you, waiting for your life to finally feel like it actually belongs to you, instead of you feeling just like you're existing inside a version of life that no longer fits properly and you're just going through the motions. And I think some of you were starting to feel kind of disillusioned by that, if you've been through a process like that recently, because that Hanged Man, it can feel very frustrating when you're inside of it. It can feel as though you are watching everybody else move forward and live their lives while you're kind of stuck floating around in this uncertainty, trying to figure out why spirit keeps making you wait. It can feel like a punishment, but I don't think this pause was punishment whatsoever. I actually think spirit was forcing a perspective shift to happen first, because this pile keeps coming back to this overarching theme of authenticity, right? Like, you cannot fully move forward into the life that's meant for you while still trying to perform old versions of yourself for acceptance, maybe. I don't know. Is it acceptance? Yeah, to a degree. As unique as you are, like, we all just want to belong and be understood. We all want to have that. And yeah, honestly, I think some of you have been trying very hard to remain inside these already established identities. When I say already established, maybe it's something that somebody else has assigned to you for you, but it could just be established as in you have established it, and although you might have outgrown it, you feel uncomfortable with some kind of evolution in relationship to that. It could be friendships, it could be, you know, careers, environments, family, relationships, like these expectations that your soul essentially has outgrown. But then this star's coming in, and this feels like the biggest energy shift, because it's like hope returning after a really, really dense, foggy period of emotional confusion and stagnancy, or like this sense of disconnection. It really does feel like inspiration returning, alignment returning, your purpose, like that's coming back online, your purpose, and suddenly there's this light again. So this could look like, what is sweet for you guys is like you're finally receiving some news you've been waiting on, and it changes things for the better. This could be you again getting that burst, that spark of inspiration after a period of feeling uninspired. It could be receiving these intuitive breakthroughs or downloads. It could be reconnecting with a purpose, like finding your passion for it again, or a new purpose, like something just clicks and suddenly it's so clear what your purpose is. This could be you meeting and connecting with people who you feel actually understand you and can meet you on your level. This could be you becoming more visible, maybe online, maybe in creative spaces. This could be you healing emotionally after a period of isolation or a period of not quite connecting with others or with the world around you. That could apply especially if you've been having like a kind of spaced out feeling recently. Yeah, this is just like finally seeing a new path forward after feeling lost, or for some of you, like maybe moving more towards a dream in a tangible way, and it could be a dream that you thought you'd given up on. But it doesn't feel random. It doesn't feel like, oh, I'll just do this because it's popped into my head and why not? There is that sense of like breakthrough electric inspiration with it, but it's not like on a whim, if that makes sense. It's like, oh my God, this is perfect. It feels divinely timed. You don't take it because it's there. You don't take it because it's just appeared and you're like, okay, we'll go for this. You take it because you know it was always meant to be there. It's like the delivery was late, but you knew it was coming. You just didn't know what it was. It was like a mystery box that you ordered. But when it comes, you're like, oh, this was the exact tool that I needed. Like, I don't know, it's something like that. But yeah, we do have this Six of Wands reversed, clarified by Judgment. Oh, yeah, this feels very deeply connected to visibility wounds, I think is the best way to describe it. Because, again, I think many of you have spent a humongous portion of your life, your childhood, whatever, feeling unseen, like nobody quite gets you, feeling misunderstood, maybe like underestimated or overlooked in some regard too, like your talents and your gifts were not properly recognized or utilized by the people and by the world around you. This could absolutely go all the way back to childhood, just always feeling like you are slightly out of step with the people surrounding you, feeling like the odd one out somehow. And within that, feeling like it was an inconvenience to other people for you to be who you were. Like you had to kind of tone yourself down a bit to avoid that sense of judgment or rejection. But at the same time, you always felt like people could sense that there was something different, but it's like they couldn't really understand what it was. And maybe you couldn't understand what it was either to some degree. You just knew it was there. And some of you could have become used to, like, I don't want to say seeking validation in the way that we often perceive it, because I don't think it was coming from like, well, it might have been coming from ego, but when I say ego, I don't mean it from like the ego-driven place of like when we think about somebody who has narcissistic traits, you know what I mean? Like, it's not seeking validation as in like that sort of way when nothing will ever be enough and you need like that constant source of reassurance. It's more like ego driven in the sense that it was like a protective mechanism. You could only feel safe when you maybe knew that you were performing. I don't know if performing is the right word, but like when you knew you were an acceptable version of who you were expected to be. And that felt like a performance. It felt like something you outgrew. It felt like a role you were too small for, but it didn't feel safe to break free from it. So it's seeking validation as in like, is this okay? Do I have permission? Almost like a child asking a parent, like, can I leave the dinner table now? That's what I'm getting. Like, but these environments, some of them, they were never fully capable of seeing you properly in the first place. They weren't equipped to see what you're fully capable of. But yeah, that Six of Wands reversed. It does feel like, you know, chasing recognition from people who fundamentally do not understand you and could never understand you and couldn't fathom your path because they don't have the vision. They don't have the vision like you do. So it could have been times where you dealt with that, but it feels like this Judgment is coming in and that changes the energy entirely, because Judgment is that awakening card. It's that rebirth card. It's your soul calling coming online. It's, you cannot ignore yourself anymore, pal too. It's just that kind of energy. And yeah, that does really feel connected to the Wayshower card, because this is spirit calling you towards a more authentic version of yourself, whether I'm hearing ready or not, bitch. Like, ready or not, bitch. You're gonna be that. That's the sweet thing coming for you. Like, some of you are genuinely being called right now to stop hiding your gifts, and whatever those gifts are, whether it's your creativity or your brains, your intelligence, your unique perspective, your beliefs, just the weirdness you have to offer, the weirdness, the uniqueness. That's beautiful. That is the sweetest thing, is your authenticity, you know, anything, the way you carry yourself, your style, your voice, your truth, whatever it is. And honestly, I think the really beautiful thing here is that recognition does seem to arrive eventually. It will do. But it's only after you stop shaping yourself around what you think other people will approve of, because the sweetness blooming in your life here could absolutely look like you finally being recognized for what you have to offer, your amazing work. It could be building your confidence in whatever industry you're in, whether it's like a creative passion project or a side hustle or your career, your job. I know we keep talking about online visibility, but it is something like being confident in putting yourself out there in a community of some kind. It is receiving praise or acknowledgement for the work you put in, and that in turn allowing you to speak more openly and step into your truth even more, on an even bigger level. This could be attracting people who actually value your authenticity and finding those people who you genuinely feel like you belong with, like, yeah, I'm meant to be here. And that feels so, so sweet after a lifetime of maybe not feeling that way. And then, yeah, we have, you know, that Knight of Pentacles clarified by the Eight of Pentacles. And I just love this energy, because compared to some of the more, like, I guess, emotionally intense or a bit more like disruptive energy that's come through in this pile, this actually feels very, very, very grounding. It's where we tap into that earthy energy, because, you know, this very much feels like spirit saying, slow and steady wins the race. I'm hearing that, slow and steady wins the race. And we do have, I know the story is like the hare and the tortoise, but we have, I think they're hares anyway, hares, rabbits, I think they're hares, and we have a snail. So that's interesting. But yeah, I think some of you really need to hear that though, because, oh, this pile has such like visionary energy attached to it, is something I want to say. Like, some of you are so far ahead, I want to say ahead of your time, that you become frustrated with how slow progress can feel in this present moment. And it has been slow. I'll give you that, pal too. It's been slow. And that's annoying, because it's like you can always already see the bigger vision in your mind. And you already, like, you want to be there. You don't want to be here, you want to be there. But honestly, the Knight of Pentacles and the Eight of Pentacles showing up together, that feels very reassuring for me, because Spirit keeps showing me that your consistency is paying off. Even if you cannot fully see the evidence yet, you are going to see it, and it's going to be very, very sweet for you. This feels like somebody has been building something meaningful brick by brick. What you've been doing does matter. So tangible examples could be you building a business from the ground up, doing something from scratch, learning a new skill, and you've been consistent with it. You've been putting a lot of effort in. This could be posting content online consistently. This could be saving money over a long period of time and you feel like you've had to sacrifice, or you feel like it's not making much of a difference. This could be starting from the ground up with something like a career or something where you have to learn everything again. And you sometimes feel like, am I just insane thinking I could do this? But it's you like really honing and working on and perfecting your craft and putting effort in. It could be creating art or music. And there's been so many times where you write a song and then you tell yourself it's rubbish and you rip it up and you start again and you hone it, you perfect it, you refine it, and you don't even know whether anyone will want to listen to your music or read your book or whatever it is, watch your content, but you do it anyway because the passion and the purpose is there, and you will be rewarded for it. That's the thing. That's the sweetness here. And this doesn't feel like, some overnight validation that just disappears into thin air. This feels more sustainable than that. It feels like real foundations are happening here, are being built. This feels like real mastery of something that's gonna be very, very good for you. And as well, I think one of the sweetest things blooming in your life is that you're going to finally see tangible proof that your effort has not been wasted here. That is the biggest thing. And of course, we have the moon clarified by the Chariot. Like, what are the what are the chances of this exact pairing showing up again after it already appeared? And as well, didn't we get, I think we got the Knight of Pentacles in Power 1, but I think it was reversed. That is insane. I couldn't believe that when it came out. But yeah, with this pile specifically, the moon and the Chariot, these cards feel very connected to navigating uncertainty, but moving forward anyway. And I know we spoke in the energy check about like spiritual awakenings, uncertainty, fears, vivid dreams, synchronicities, feeling spiritually guided, feeling old versions of ourselves dissolving, or, not fully knowing where things are heading yet, feeling that sense of confusion. So yeah, the moon just kind of solidifies what we were talking about in that sense. But then the Chariot comes in with this really determined energy, and it's saying like, yes, movement is happening regardless. And I feel like that's really important for you guys who chose Pile 2, because it's like some of you keep waiting to feel fully ready before stepping into this next chapter. But I don't actually think this next era arrives through complete certainty. I think it arrives through trust, because the Chariot feels like momentum returning after that stagnancy, like finally beginning to emotionally and spiritually move forward after being suspended for such a long time. But I think you're going to be very surprised by how fast things get moving. Like when they get moving, they get really moving. And this sweet next chapter could absolutely involve relocating, traveling, changing career in a massive way. Again, like we said, becoming more like publicly visible, launching these big creative projects. It could also be something like stepping into a leadership role before you feel fully ready, but it is the sweetest thing that's ever happened to you. It could be you not being afraid anymore, not holding back, speaking more authentically because you trust that it will land the way it's meant to. It could be you once and for all saying goodbye to toxic dynamics, leaving things like that completely behind in whatever way that might show up in your current reality. It could be finding these divine, spiritually aligned friendships or communities, and in those communities you feel like you're able to embrace your individuality a lot more openly. And this could be you trusting your intuition instead of constantly doubting yourself. I think the sweetest thing blooming in your life, Pile 2, is this massive sense of self-trust. You becoming the version of yourself that does not need permission to exist authentically. This entire reading feels like spirit pulling you out of environments and identities and fears that were just too small for who you are now becoming. So that is what I'm getting for you, Pile 2, and that's where I'm going to leave you today, my loves. If you liked this reading, please do me an absolutely massive favour. Please like the video. Please comment, let me know what resonated. If you don't feel comfortable, let me know what resonated. Even just telling me which pile you picked or leaving an emoji would be a massive help. The best way to support a small channel like mine, a small creator like me, is to like, comment, hype, share and subscribe. That helps me so much more than you even realise. If you could take a tiny second out of your day to do just one of those things, I would really appreciate it. That would be absolutely amazing. With that said, I just want to say thank you so much for being here. Thank you for listening. I appreciate you so very much. I'm sending you lots of love and I'll see you in the next one. Take care, Pile 2. Hi Pile 3 Collective. If you chose the Fruity Almond fragrance and you chose the Lava Stone and Red Hot Poker, My Body is a Safe Space from the Earth Alchemy Oracle, you are in the correct place. Welcome to your reading, friends. I don't think we mentioned the tarot deck that we were using, but we're going to be using the Plastics Oracle A Mean Girls Tarot. So if that sounds good to you, you're in the right place. This reading is titled Pick a Perfume, the next sweet thing blooming in your life. Your next era smells divine. And without hesitation, let's get right into it. First, we're going to start off by looking at your Oracle card. I'm going to be reading from the guidebook, but I do also want to talk about the perfume you picked, the vibe that gives to me, and some of the notes in this particular fragrance as part of your reading. I want this reading to be a very sensory experience. Right, okay, let's get started by reading from the guidebook. So we have Lava Stone and Red Hot Poker, my body is a safe space, transmuting, breaking down barriers, realizations. And this card is associated with fire energy. So you could have prominent fire placements in your chart, Aries, Leo, Sag. That does not have to apply in order for this to be your pile. It's just something I would like to mention. But it says, Lava Stone is one of the oldest and most abundant minerals. It assists in transmuting keys of raw fire through you, rebirthing you to a new stage, time, and way of being. It helps you release old emotions and unhealthy attachments as you birth into a higher frequency of light and higher streams of consciousness. Its energy comes in as a masculine frequency, a champion of action, power, focus, and activation. It will root you in the ground as fast change happens around and within you, bringing strength and courage. Grounding, calming, and strengthening your connection to Mother Earth, it will stabilize your mental and emotional body, anchoring you through the root and Earth Star chakra. Lava Stone speaks, I was born of the fires of Earth. You were born of the fires of the source of this multiverse. You have those fires within your heart, with the power to alchemize and transmute. Time to ignite all the flames within you, to bring forward truth, enlightenment, and a deeper understanding. Perhaps you do not feel at home in your body. We eject out of the body sometimes, often to hide from the hurts we need to face. The more we do that, the more our body does not feel like a safe space. Lava Stone teaches us to stand in the fire even when it's uncomfortable. It isn't all intense inner healing work. It's also motivated to help you bring success, creating more opportunities for abundance, which follows after you have stepped into the fire with it and faced a few truths. It will be your biggest cheerleader, calming any fears and anxieties about the road ahead. Goddess Pele's energy can be felt and connected with through this stone. Red Hot Poker pairs with Lava Stone's message of awakening to your true self and inner teachings. Its medicine brings a realization of inner strength and purpose as you search for higher truth and knowledge. Its energy climbs high, through your sacral, solar plexus, and heart chakra, as it rises through you and settles in your heart, where it works to break down barriers you may have put up to protect yourself. It focuses on all hurts, but specifically on abuse, whether that is emotional, mental, or physical, which may have left you with the inability to feel. Its medicine opens you up to warmth and caring from others so healing can happen. Fire is a basis for all spiritual and alchemical reactions within the heart. For healing work at this time, look to firestones to help you anchor in all change, all new earth frequencies, transmuting old to new. Try to include a firestone at the Earth Star chakra. Firestones to support you could include lava stone, all obsidians, fire quartz, citrine, carnelian, and sunstone. Okay, beautiful. And I'm also going to open this reading by spraying your selected perfume, your fruity almond. Oh, that's so good. Beautiful fragrance. Genuinely divine. I think this one is inspired by Good Girl. So if you like Good Girl, you will probably like this. Yeah. Okay, just aside from the Lava Stone card for a moment, we will come back to this. I think there were some very, very interesting messages that came through just as we were reading from the guidebook, but even just focusing on your scent. This pile feels expensive. And for some reason, I'm thinking of this song. I think it's by Sweetie called Expensive. I think it's literally called Expensive. Where she's like, I don't know, but just diamonds, I think diamonds or whatever. Diamonds are expensive. This and that expensive. I don't know. I don't know the lyrics, okay? I just remember that song. It was on one of my old playlists, but I've not heard it for a number of years now. But yeah, this pile, you guys feel expensive. It's not necessarily in like a materialistic way. Although for some of you, there could absolutely be like, we'll get into it more, but like abundance and money and luxury and beauty and these glow-ups and the success blooming in your life. But I think more than anything, this pile feels like somebody stepping into a version of themselves that knows their worth. And that makes life very, very, very sweet when you know your worth, okay? Yeah, because even with, you know, this fruity almond perfume, to me this has a very like polished, slightly seductive, but very much like she has their life together. Like that kind of vibe. He, she, they have their lives together. It's that kind of energy. This feels like high achiever energy to me. Like someone who's very effortlessly put together. You could resonate with that. Like you could be someone who walks into a room and people immediately notice you even when you're not trying to be noticed. But there's like this really gorgeous dichotomy. There's this gorgeous balance, I want to say, between like softness and power and heat, like raw sensuality. And we've got the lava stone, we've got the red hot poker as well. So there's something, you know, a little bit spicy, a little bit hot about this. Because yeah, this perfume, you know, like I say, inspired by Good Girl. It's very, I mean, it's in the name, but it's so stating the obvious much, but it's very fruity, it's very feminine, it's playful, but then underneath there's this sort of deeper, richer sensuality to it. This to me, it does feel like the energy of somebody who is doing their healing work and they're not shrinking themselves. Like when you enter a room, there's fire, you know, people know when you've entered the room. And I feel like some of you guys, when I say expensive and like abundant, it's not in a way where it's like bougie for the sake of appearance, or it's not necessarily like I want this and I want 10 cars and I want blah blah blah. It's just in the sense of knowing your worth and wanting the best of the best for you. And it's like allowing yourself to be okay with wanting more, like not settling is the thing, and knowing that you deserve more of what you want, whether it's more love or more success or more pleasure in your life or more visibility or more confidence, more beauty, more ease coming to you, things happening for you in a very sweet way. It's like allowing yourself to actually be okay with wanting that, because some of you, it's like you felt, I don't know, maybe selfish or arrogant for wanting some of the things you want, but it's about realizing that no, you deserve those things. I think some of you might have spent some time touching on the card for a sec, like my body's a safe space. Obviously, you know, some element of perhaps not feeling safe for any number of reasons. And I know the guidebook did mention like abuse, you know, that could be a possibility for some of you, a history of abusive relationships or some just difficult dynamics. I'm just going to word it like that because I don't know how much I'm allowed to say on YouTube. So toxic dynamics where you didn't know your worth or you weren't made to feel that abundance. And it's like, I think some of you have convinced yourself that wanting some of the things you want is like shallow, right? Because I think that's a thing sometimes as well. When we are like spiritual people, sometimes we can get kind of down on ourselves for things that are out of our control. And when I say things that are out of our control, I think I'm referring to like the fact that we all exist, well, I think anyway, in like a physical body in this material world. Like for now, if you are here listening to this reading, presumably not from another planet, presuming you are listening to this reading on YouTube, on Earth, like there is no escaping that, right? At this present time, there is no escaping that. We live in a material world, in a society. We live in a society, in a physical body, in this vessel, and it is okay to want some of the things that come along with existing within those paradigms. And I think sometimes when we're spiritual beings, we can get down on ourselves about that. And, you know, I'm not talking about like, oh, you need to buy 50 Labubus because that was the trend last year or something. I don't know. I'm old now, so I don't know what's trending anymore. I know like they were kind of a trend last year, I think, or the year before. What is time? I don't know. But I'm not saying like you need to follow every trend, right? Or like consume in excess. But you are allowed to want, at the very, very least, the basics that would allow you to function. You are allowed to want that for yourself, but you're also allowed to want some pleasure and some joy too. Like you're allowed to want a little bit extra. You're allowed to be a bit extra if you want. Like that's the fun in being a human, is doing what you want to do, doing whatever you want. And right now, I'm getting this image. I'm sorry, I get the most random examples and downloads coming through. I apologise. But so I just finished The Boys season 5. Don't worry, I won't give any spoilers. But I wanted to watch The Boys again from the start because when I was watching season 5, I couldn't remember like any of the references. They were obviously referring to things from previous seasons. I'd kind of forgotten about like certain characters they were talking about and things. So I was like, oh, I'm going to watch The Boys again. Anyway, I've just finished rewatching season 2, I think. But anyway, this is a very long story short, but I'm thinking of that scene where Homelander is on the roof. I don't know how to say this on YouTube. Engaging in some intimate time above the whole city, if you know what I mean. I don't know what I'm allowed to say. But he keeps saying, like, I can do whatever I want. I can do whatever I want. There's something about that that's coming through now. And obviously, you know, not in the way that he's doing it, because somebody should be doing some of the things that he did. But there is something about, like, allowing yourself to do what you want, because you can do what you want. Like, you're allowed to want these things. And you're allowed to have some of these things that you want. And it doesn't make you shallow. It doesn't make you egotistical. There is nothing wrong, absolutely nothing wrong with you wanting a beautiful life and wanting to do what you want to do with that life. Yeah, the peach note was really standing out to me in this, because spiritually speaking, you know, peaches are often connected to butts. Well, I'm in such a weird mood today. No, spiritually they're not connected to butts, but you could have a nice peach. But sorry, that was not the spiritual meaning. The spiritual meaning was, well, kind of connected to like a nice juicy butt, right? Because it's like abundance and vitality and divine feminine energy and romance and sensuality and fertility and joy and youthfulness, like youthful glowing energy. It feels like there's a very youthful glowing energy around this pile. That is what you're stepping into as part of this next sweet chapter. And honestly, it's like some of you may start to look physically brighter during this next chapter. Some of you could find that you are looking healthier, you are looking more well rested, more radiant, more attractive, more confident. It's like you're able to maybe take care of your body more, maybe you are dressing differently, maybe you're just feeling yourself and you're feeling more connected to yourself physically and emotionally. So there is absolutely huge glow up energy around this pile, but it doesn't just have to be in a physical sense. It could be that like your outside world is starting to match your inner world, and your inner world is very, very sweet. It's becoming beautiful and sweet. And then of course we have the almond note, and we spoke about almond briefly in pile 2. But again, spiritually, that carries a lot of energy around like a rebirth and awakening, sometimes like hidden potential as well. It can be about experiencing blessings after difficult seasons. But unlike pile 2's more, I guess, like disruptive awakening energy, this awakening energy feels a little bit smoother. It's less of an edge. It's like you are realizing how powerful you actually are. With the tuberose note coming through, I feel like that's important for this pile as well, because that can represent devotion and, again, sensuality, like sensual awakenings. There's something sort of magnetic and feminine and romantic about it, but it also historically has connotations of being associated with like an element of, I want to say, like dangerous pleasure. There's that energy attached to it. And to be honest, this pile feels a little bit dangerous. Not in a super intense way, but more, oh, I'm getting something like you are becoming harder to control. I don't think they could ever control you or tame you, but I don't know, it's interesting because this perfume is inspired by Good Girl. There's something about you like being a good girl but with a bad side, or something like that is coming through. But yeah, you are becoming much more confident is what I want to say, potentially more visible and more emotionally open, but that in turn, that receptivity is making you more magnetic and more successful. There could also be something about you becoming more expressive, but deeply connected to your desires at the same time. And I feel like you allowing yourself this, it actually changes the way people interact with you. There's something about people noticing you in a different way or experiencing you very, very differently. This could show up romantically, socially, professionally, whatever this is for you. There is a sense of like deep attraction and desire around this pile. Yeah, even with the tonka bean and the cocoa, those notes radiate this really warm abundance. Spiritually speaking, those scents can be connected to love, to wish fulfillment, to prosperity, to pleasure, to comfort, to self-worth, and also to manifestation. So the sweet thing blooming in your life, it could be lots and lots of different things, pile 3, but this could look like new romantic attention. It could look like starting to date somebody who is very, very attracted to you. It could be your abundance increasing in all and any areas of your life, more money, more career success, being noticed and being desired by the world around you. It could be you feeling generally more desired and appreciated within your relationships, within your connections, within the work you do. This could be healing your relationship with your body or your sexuality, having more confidence in your body and in the way you carry yourself. Could be healing a relationship with health. Maybe if you've had some limitations in terms of your body, it's allowing yourself to, this could be healing your relationship with your own femininity or your sensuality. This could be getting luxury opportunities. It could be becoming more socially visible, like starting to do more, starting to put yourself out there more. It could be feeling a lot safer with receiving love and praise and compliments, not, you know, immediately batting them away or refusing to believe them. It's like actually absorbing them and using that energy that you're absorbing to transmute any element of shame that's been attached to your desires and your wants, and, you know, putting it back out there into the world. Yeah, there's definitely like a glamorous element to this, but underneath the glamour and the confidence, there is this deep healing going on, especially for those of you where it feels like you have been running on empty, is what I want to say, but also like in survival mode for a long time. If you have struggled in terms of nervous system or emotional regulation, if you have maybe sometimes not known how to relax. I'm actually hearing the phrase now, burning the candle at both ends. If it's felt like you have always been pushing or performing or overworking or just doing everything you can to like stay productive or hold everything together, if it feels like your body has been carrying some stress or grief or heartbreak or, you know, emotional suppression or some trauma, this is all about transmutation and rebirth and turning some of that pain or, you know, maybe that need to be productive into personal power. It's alchemizing these difficult experiences into genuine wisdom and strength and self-awareness. It's about breaking down emotional barriers that you perhaps originally built for protection. You know, in the guidebook, it talked a lot about finally allowing yourself to feel free again and allowing for that warmth and care and intimacy and support and that healing into spaces that may have become emotionally numb or shut down after certain difficult experiences. So yeah, this next chapter could absolutely involve healing after burnout. It could be about reconnecting with your body, healing certain body image issues, recovering from emotional exhaustion, fully processing and releasing old heartbreaks or emotional wounds, or maybe pouring it into a creative outlet. It could be rebuilding your confidence after difficult endings or difficult relationships. It could be learning to love all the parts of you that are soft, like your vulnerability, but also the softness of your body. It's about understanding that is and it never was weakness. It's allowing yourself to step into still being ambitious but without self-destruction and abandoning yourself in the process. And it's about finally believing that you deserve good things. This path does feel very passionate and driven and creative and intense, but I do also think that Spirit is trying to teach you balance here, because there's a difference between burning brightly and burning yourself out, and I think that's something they are wanting to show you. And I feel like the sweetest thing blooming in your life is this new version of all of the things you want, whether it's success or love or confidence or self-expression, but it's in a way that does not require you to abandon yourself. You can have all of that while still being you. And I feel like this is a really good time to move along to your tarot. So let's have a look at what we pulled for you, pile 3. Over here on the left, we have got the 9 of Pentacles, and clarifying the 9 of Pentacles, we have got the 5 of Cups, not word vomit, actual vomit. We have the Hermit, she doesn't even go here, and clarifying the Hermit is the Queen of Pentacles. Ah, we love her. Beautiful. And we have got the Queen of Swords reversed, and we have got Strength, clarifying the Queen of Swords reversed. We've got the Page of Pentacles and the Master, and clarifying that we have the Lovers. Beautiful. Oh. Okay, pile 3. This feels very layered to me because, oh yeah, on the surface, there is very much this like glamour and this confidence and this insane level of magnetism, like this main character energy that you embody. And I think nobody would ever know that there are any insecurities. Like, nobody would ever know that, because I think other people look at you and assume you would be sweet to yourself all of the time, because there is nothing not to be sweet about. Is the thing, but I think there's a deeper story happening here. And yeah, you know, this pile absolutely has that glow up energy attached to it. It's that success and that attraction energy, like people noticing you more, of course. But I think what Spirit keeps trying to emphasize is that this next chapter, it's not just about, you know, becoming more attractive externally. It's about becoming more comfortable occupying space as yourself and not feeling guilty for wanting more out of life anymore, okay? Because the very first thing we have here is that 9 of Pentacles, right? And it's clarified by the 5 of Cups. And that's such an interesting combination to me, because the 9 of Pentacles, it's very much that energy of like, yeah, confidence and luxury and self-worth and beauty and success and independence and being admired, being desired, being seen as somebody who has their life together. And honestly, the fact this image is here to represent the Nine of Pentacles, where Regina's mum is filming the girls while they're doing the Jingle Bell Rock. I do feel that energy of someone being on a stage, like people paying more attention to you, watching you more, noticing you more. But what's interesting about Regina's mum is it's like she's kind of, at some points it feels like living vicariously through the girls. Like she is the camera woman, she's trying to, you know, make sure she gets these perfect angles. She's trying to sort of direct the show, she's reminding them of the dance moves and things like that. And obviously it's this performance, and you know, when the girls are doing it, of course it's intended to be a performance, but I think, you know, this is a reminder that life is not a performance, and you don't have to want something just because somebody thinks you should want it, nor do you have to feel guilty or ashamed of wanting what you personally want, and being open to discovering what that is without feeling like you are being directed by somebody else vicariously trying to live through you and getting upset with you when you don't fit their mold of what they want you to be. Because maybe these eyes on you that we spoke about, maybe that hasn't always felt like the best thing, right? Because if you're up there on the stage trying to live your life and do things your way, and you are fully trying to embody that performance, and somebody is on the sidelines distracting you and trying to choreograph your moves and trying to convey to you that you should be following their steps, or you should be doing this, like put your arm here and now put your leg here and do this and smile, and yeah, like a pageant mom or something, then that kind of breaks you out of what it is you're trying to do. That doesn't feel like an authentic performance. You don't embody that character, because if somebody stood there telling you what to do, you know, it doesn't feel genuine, right? So if something doesn't feel right about being on that stage, maybe it's not that you don't deserve to be on that stage, or you don't deserve to want to be the best performer or the best actor or actress or something like that. Just as one example, it's not that you don't deserve to be there and want that. It's just that maybe you have to do things your way, because there's some element of like grief with putting on a performance here with that Five of Cups. So yes, the sweetness is that you are going to be entering a chapter where you do glow up noticeably and physically. And yes, people are probably going to compliment you more. You could be becoming more socially visible. You gain more attention, whether it's in person or online. Maybe your work starts being recognised, and maybe a byproduct of that is that you start to become more financially independent and comfortable as a result, because opportunities are going to be increasing around you. And it could be that people even start romanticising you a little bit. But I think what is interesting, going back to what we said, like with that Five of Cups, and you know, it's Katie being physically sick, not word vomit, regular vomit. I think, you know, this is showing me that there is a purging taking place, right? Because despite some of this growth and this attention and confidence that's going to be happening, there is a purging and there's an emotional healing happening underneath it. Because I think for some of you, you guys are not used to, like, oh, I don't know, you're used to being very humble, I think. You're not used to receiving attention or praise or admiration or success in a healthy way yet. Maybe there's a part of you sort of waiting for the other shoe to drop, or again, like feeling a little bit guilty for wanting some of the things you want, or maybe like still carrying old heartbreaks or insecurities or rejection wounds, you know, embarrassment, disappointment, things like that underneath the surface. And that makes perfect sense, especially after what we discussed in terms of the Lava Stone and Red Hot Poker card, because yeah, pal 3, you guys, this pal does feel like somebody who spent a long time pushing themselves really hard and surviving through performance. And I'm almost seeing someone, at first I was seeing someone on a stage, like, you know, at the end when it's almost time to drop the mask, but they have to like go out and do their little bow, and the performers all lift each other's hands up in the air, and then they're like smiling, and that's like the last of it. There's this sense of relief because they're sweating and they can't wait to like go backstage and rip their costume off, like the performance is coming to an end. It's that. But funnily enough, I was also picturing, I don't know whether you guys have seen Obsession, the film that's just recently come out. I've seen it twice now. I think it's incredible, and the actress in it, well, all the actors in it are amazing, but the main actress, she was insane. But I'm thinking about the scene in Obsession. I don't want to give, like, this isn't really a spoiler, but if you have seen the scene where she is, okay, actually, I don't know whether this is a spoiler or not. It's not really, but if you have not seen it, it's not like a main spoiler, it's just one scene. But if you are going to see the film, I don't want to like spoil even this bit for you, but just skip ahead like 30 seconds or something. But I'm thinking of the scene where Bear goes to work and Nikki is stood there smiling all day, like she has that smile plastered on her face, and that performance, like her trying to cultivate this perfect dead-eyed smile for him, because it's what she thinks he'll want. That smile she has plastered on her face, and she's just stood there, and there's like pee and God knows what else on the floor by the end of the day because she hasn't moved, because she's committed to this performance. She's waiting for him to come home, and she's just, oh, the smile is just locked in place. Yeah, I'm thinking of that for some reason. Like, the performance hurts, right? The performance really does hurt. And yeah, like, if you have been someone who has been in performance mode, or, you know, pushing themselves really hard or surviving through that, it's like Spirit is now trying to teach you how to actually enjoy your life without constantly operating from this sense of pressure or anxiety, or, you know, always thinking about what other people might want from you, how to perform for them. And I think for some of you, the sweetest thing blooming in your life, it's not this external attention itself. I think it's your ability to finally receive it properly without immediately wanting to shrink afterwards, or like talking yourself out of the opportunity. I mean, we have the Hermit clarified by the Queen of Pentacles here, and I really do love this combination. It just feels very emotionally mature to me. But I think the thing I love most about this Queen of Pentacles, and it's Karen with the backwards K on her chest, she hasn't got everything figured out, right? You know, she's done her K backwards. But do you know what? She doesn't care because she likes it. Like, not everything's perfect, but she's still that bitch, right? And, you know, even this Hermit in this deck with Damien, it's meant to be the scene where obviously he's in the crowd of girls and he's like, she doesn't even go here. Honestly, you know, you guys, you feel like a person who has spent a long time observing quietly and watching other people, reading people, noticing things around you, and, you know, maybe trying to understand where they fit, maybe also trying to understand where you fit. And I think some of you have actually always been much more self-aware than what people necessarily realize. Like, even if you guys, it appears like you don't have many insecurities or you're very confident externally, it feels like internally you were very analytical, like constantly evaluating everything, or protecting yourself emotionally, being on guard, or trying to make sure like you didn't appear to be too much for people. Maybe underplaying some of your own gifts or achievements or ways you naturally shine in order to sort of not outshine anybody else. But it was hard to do that while still, you know, fundamentally feeling like you belong to yourself, right? I think it's interesting that this scene is being portrayed because there's almost this vibe of like some of you have been scared of speaking out. Like, even if, for example, I don't know, you want to say something in a work meeting or something like that, like you want to give your opinion on something, there's always this little like nagging voice in the back of your mind that feels like somebody like Damien is going to pop up when you start speaking and say like, she doesn't even go here, like why is she giving her opinion, she doesn't even go here, she doesn't belong here. There's something that's very focused on that anxiety, almost like not an inferiority complex, but almost this feeling of like, what gives me the right to say this? Should I speak up? Because what if I don't know what I'm talking about, and what if everyone else realizes that I don't know what I'm talking about, and what if I've read this situation wrong and this is pointed out to me and it's further proof of my not belonging anywhere, or whatever the case may be. But yeah, there's that lingering voice, but I feel like it's becoming less, and that is the sweet thing about what's blooming in your life. Because with that Queen of Pentacles, yeah, the energy just starts to feel so much more grounded. It's like you feel settled within yourself. You're less focused on, you know, does this K on my chest look good to other people? And does that matter? Does it matter that the K is the wrong way round? Like, I like it, so who cares? It's that sort of thing, you know? And yeah, definitely it feels like the sweet thing for you is you're becoming a lot more comfortable in your own skin. It doesn't feel like you need as much reassurance. And it doesn't feel like you're trying to perform, like you're not performing confidence either. It's something that becomes a lot more natural and a lot more embodied without you really having to try. And I feel like this in turn connects to other sweet things that are going to be happening for you. So that could be, you know, speaking out in that work meeting, and instead of people being like, oh my God, she doesn't even go here, like, why is she saying that? I'm saying she, I'm sorry if you're, I'm just thinking of Mean Girls, but she, he, they, whoever you are, it's actually going to make you stand out in a really, really good way, like in a Queen of Pentacles kind of way. Like, oh, she's the one, he, she, they, they're the one, they're that girl, that guy, that non-binary person. They know what they're doing. It's that level of competence, that level of having yourself, having your own back, being able to provide for yourself. and that in turn lead into abundance. And so, you know, maybe it's a promotion and it's an improvement in your finances, or it's building more stability in your world. Maybe it's only giving dating opportunities to people who can provide that stability and who are fully in alignment with your values. So you're not putting yourself in a position where you're going to be messed around with because you are valuing yourself and taking yourself more seriously. And you're not saying like, oh, you know, I'm not really into this person, I'm not attracted to them, my values don't really align with theirs, but I'm going to give them a chance because, you know, my friends have made me feel like I'm expecting too much. Or, you know, I'm 30 and my mum wants me to get married and she's saying I'm being too fussy, or something like that. Do you know what I mean? Like, you are taking yourself more seriously, and that is going to be attracting better opportunities, more opportunities, but better opportunities, more importantly, because you're investing in yourself and what matters to you and what you value first and foremost. I also feel like, you know, the sweetness in this could be you improving your routines and in turn your health as a result of that. Nourishing yourself well, keeping hydrated, moisturizing, lotioning yourself, the sleep routines, taking care of yourself so that you feel good from the inside out. This would also be creating a beautiful home environment. And yeah, just maybe being more selective in terms of your relationships and your friendships, and that having an amazing knock-on effect in terms of your confidence, because you're not surrounded by anyone or anything where you feel like you have to chase that validation or you have to have someone tell you that you're performing well. It's just obvious that you are so in alignment with yourself and valuing yourself, and that this is real confidence that you are slowly learning, because it comes with calm. It doesn't come with this sense of like, am I being confident enough? Oh, am I being like too humble, or am I being too arrogant? Am I too this or am I too that? It just comes with knowing like, this is who I am, take it or leave it. But I like myself and this is who I'm showing up as. And that's so, so sweet, and it attracts so many other beautiful things. With this Queen of Swords reversed, clarified by Strength, this does very much feel connected to that my body is a safe space card to me, because that Queen of Swords, I don't know whether you can see it, but we have Regina in the neck brace, iconic, but she's reversed. And this definitely makes me think of somebody whose inner voice has become a little bit too harsh over time. And there could be a ton of reasons for that, right? This isn't a criticism, but some of you, it's like you've learned to criticize yourselves before other people can criticize you, right? Like, that's how you survive through criticism or being hyper aware of your own body or what you're saying or what you're doing. You've been made to feel like you constantly have to overthink it or put on this performance to stay emotionally protected and to mask this appearance of strength. And I think for many of you, there is this tendency to like, it's like you kind of knock yourselves down a peg before anyone else gets the chance to. Maybe you make a lot of self-deprecating jokes. Maybe that's become a defense mechanism. It's like you will make the joke about yourself first before anyone else can make it, to prove that it doesn't hurt you, it doesn't get to you. So nobody could be like nastier to you first and foremost than you are to yourself. Maybe it's assuming rejection before you get rejected, or pointing out your flaws before somebody else can. You know, this is somebody who maybe shows up to places like you're just meeting a friend for a walk or something very casual, and you're like, oh, sorry about my face, like I've not got makeup on, or something like that. And you don't need to do that. Like, you don't need to apologize. Why do we do that? A lot of us do that, but we shouldn't. And for a lot of you, you know, this could absolutely connect to somebody external. For some reason, I'm getting a mother figure for some of you, but it doesn't have to be. It could be a friend, like a sort of frenemy, like a mean girl or something, you know, somebody maybe rude or critical or very sharp or passive aggressive or just dismissive or intimidating or just blunt to the point of cruelty maybe, or someone always making you feel like you had to be hyper conscious of everything, almost like, obviously this scene isn't depicted in the cards, but we're using the Mean Girls deck, so of course I'm thinking about Mean Girls, and I'm thinking of like even the little things like, I can't remember the exact examples, but obviously there's the on Wednesdays we wear pink, but there's something where like they're only allowed to wear sweatpants a certain amount of times, or like they can only wear their hair down or up or something on a couple of occasions. I don't know, it's something like that, where other people, like how you show up, whether you wear your hair up or down or whether you wear sweatpants. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I don't care what anybody else is wearing, like, or how their hair is or something like that. I mean, I might look at them and think like, oh, their hair looks nice or something, but I'm not ever thinking about it through a critical lens, or I'm not ever thinking like, oh my god, Sandra has worn that same cardigan every day this week at work. Like, but some of you have been made to feel like you have to be over the top hyper aware of like every little thing you do, whether it's that, whether it's your outfit, whether it's your behavior, the things you say, everything, like the cadence of your voice even. You've been made to feel like you can't just be as you naturally are, like it has to be a performance. Because this person could have like maybe pointed out these small things about you that made you feel that way. So you feel like everyone is noticing those things, when really it doesn't matter. Like the same as like in Mean Girls, yeah, that's the hierarchy of the school. To be in their little clique, you have to follow these rules. But those rules do not have to dictate your life. Presumably after those girls leave high school, there's not going to be those rules anymore. Yes, there's always like Mean Girls as well in work settings and hierarchies, but you do not have to just adapt and accept if that's not you. Like, and I think, you know, that's the point that they come to at the end of Mean Girls. It's like, oh, these rules are fucking stupid. Like, who invented these rules? And the environment is much nicer. Well, presumably, we don't really know what happens, but the point is they're not as like strict with these social hierarchies and these pointless rules. And there's a freedom in that. So I don't know, like, if you have felt like maybe you've had to shrink yourself to be around this person, because even that imagery with Regina in the neck brace, it's like somebody whose ego or confidence has been bruised, maybe somebody who feels overshadowed by you, or maybe your ego has been so badly bruised in the past that, you know, this brace is like your protective mechanism. It could work in different ways, but you could have definitely had someone who projected their insecurities onto you. Again, you know, somebody who made you feel like either too much or not enough, like too much and not enough at the exact same time. People who subtly, or maybe not very subtly, tried to humble you. It's like whenever you finally started feeling good about yourself, you were knocked down. So now you do that first, because that's a way of maintaining your autonomy. You could have been in environments where you felt like confidence was only acceptable as long as it didn't become too visible and as long as it didn't make somebody else feel bad. And I think some of you internalized and adapted to that energy maybe more than what you realize. Like, you guys, you feel like people who can be, on the one hand, incredibly hard on yourselves, but you can also appear very composed externally. So nobody would know that this was going on, but you might always be kind of analysing yourselves, or, you know, just having this constant underlying feeling of like you should be doing more or looking better or achieving more or handling things better. And the sweet thing that's coming to you, and what I really like about this Strength card clarifying the Queen of Swords reversed, is that it's like, this feels like Spirit is trying to gently get you to rebuild your relationship with yourself from the inside out, because this doesn't feel like confidence that's been built through perfectionism or emotional suppression. It feels a lot more healthy than that. Like, Spirit is trying to teach you that strength is not constantly criticizing yourself to get the upper hand so that nobody can hurt you, or punishing yourself into becoming better. It's that real strength is being able to hold yourself with compassion whilst you grow, and also speaking to yourself with a lot more kindness, and allowing yourself to exist without constantly feeling like you need to earn pleasure or earn your worth through a performance or productivity or punishment. And, you know, even with the image on the card, I don't know if that's meant to be Katie. That doesn't look like her. I'm not sure. Maybe it's Katie when she was little. I don't know. But with the elephant, there's something really important here about you reconnecting with, I guess, a more raw and primal and instinctive and natural version of yourself again. Maybe the version of yourself before like all this pressure or the expectations got layered on top of you. So yeah, again, there is this message of like maybe you healing your relationship with femininity or sensuality or confidence or your body, or with ambition, or with, you know, receiving attention or receiving opportunities and offers. The sweet thing for you is that you're going to be feeling this confidence internally, rather than it being something you have to maintain externally for the benefit of other people. And then, of course, we have the Page of Pentacles clarified by the Lovers. And this feels really, really sweet because, you know, it's making me think of the party, the Halloween party, because obviously they're dressed as they are at the party, Katie in their bridal wear, and Aaron, and then Regina. And at the party, Regina kind of gets in the middle of them because I think she's making up these rumours about Katie, I think, being obsessed with Aaron or something. So it's like there's this external force that felt like it was getting in the way between you and your alignment. Like the way Katie and Aaron were really kind of pining for each other. They wanted to be together until Regina kind of got in the middle of them. That's you and your alignment. And it feels like this start of new beginnings and opportunities and growth and offers and learning and like planting seeds for the future that get you more and more into alignment. But even with this image of Karen on the Page of Pentacles in her mouse costume saying, you know, I'm a master, there's also something here about like just allowing yourself to be simpler and be more authentic again instead of overcomplicating yourself constantly. And I think some of you, you're finally allowing yourselves to openly want what you want instead of feeling like you have to minimize your desires or feel embarrassed for having them. Because of course this lovers is here, and that just feels absolutely huge for relationships and for alignment generally. And of course, you know, this could absolutely be about romance, like we were referencing the Halloween party. It could be about, you know, love triangles ending, or, you know, being desired properly with no meddling. This could be meeting somebody you genuinely connect with, and it's both emotionally and physically, like it's on every level. But the lovers can be a lot deeper than romance. Fundamentally, it's about alignment and choices. Like, so this could be alignment between who you are internally and how you allow yourself to exist on that external level, for instance. So the sweet thing coming for you, it could be new romantic opportunities. It could be healthier dating experiences. It could be emotional vulnerability deepening within a relationship or connection. It could be you choosing yourself properly and not undermining your own needs. It could be you investing in yourself or in your future. This could be your body confidence increasing and you just feeling good about yourself more and more when you show up to places. This could be you receiving opportunities that actually align with your worth, and you just finally allowing yourself to engage with more pleasurable activities that aren't simply about productivity, and they're not about performance either. They're just about being and enjoying this experience of being and embodying what it means to be a human. And I think, Pal 3, the sweetest thing blooming in your life is that this self-worth, it actually feels embodied. It doesn't feel like an act you're putting on for anybody else's comfort. It feels like you guys are learning something big here, and you're learning that success and beauty and visibility and ambition or love, relationships, friendships, whatever it is, they don't have to come at the expense of your emotional well-being or at the expense of your values. It's like you're learning that you can have it all and it can exist at the same time. You don't have to sacrifice one thing for another in order to get what you want, in order to have what you want. So that is what I'm getting for your reading, Pal 3. I really, really hope you enjoyed this reading today. If you did like the reading, please do me a massive favour. Please like the video. Please comment if you get a chance. Let me know what resonated. If you don't feel comfortable doing that, that is fine. Even just telling me which pal you picked or leaving an emoji would help me massively in terms of the engagement on this channel. The best ways to support a small channel like mine, a small creator like me, are to like, comment, hype, share and subscribe. Any one of those things would help me in an absolutely massive way. And on a personal note, I really, really love hearing from you guys. With all of that said, I just want to thank you so much for being here. Thank you for spending this time with me and for listening. I'm sending you so much love. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one, Pal 3. Hi, Powerful Collective. If you chose the Ambery Saffron fragrance and you chose the Golden Topaz and Yellow Rose Abundance card, and I don't think we mentioned the tarot, but if you chose the Hedgehog tarot, which is what we're using for this reading today, you are in the right place. Welcome to your reading, friends. This reading is titled Pick a Perfume, the next sweet thing blooming in your life. Your next era smells divine. And without hesitation, let's get right on into it. First, we're going to look at your oracle card in more depth. We're going to read from the guidebook just to get an overarching vibe for your pal's energy. And we're also going to be looking into the perfume you chose. We're going to be talking about some of the notes in this particular fragrance to see if there are any confirmations in there as well. Okay, let's read from the guidebook. But I mean, abundance is a good start, right? Like, that's a pretty clear message. So if you were drawn to this card, then I guess abundance is in store for you. So we have Golden Topaz and Yellow Rose Abundance, raising your vibration, light missions, raw activations, and it's associated with fire energy, by the way. Ooh, so was Pal 3. Yeah, Pal 1 and 2 were Earth, Pal 3 and 4 were Fire. That doesn't have to be relevant for you, but Aries, Leo, Sag could be extra confirmations if you have a lot of fire energy in your chart, although that does not have to be the case. But yeah, anyway, it says, Golden Topaz calls itself a divinity stone, holding the glorious rays of the sun. Its regal, bright energy moves in a slow, grounded, warm way, radiating its gentle power in all directions, soothing and stimulating the glands around your brain, third eye, and throat. It brings lasting energy that will recharge you for the days ahead. It likes to seek out lies and illusions, helping you recognize patterns of self-sabotage, ways you have strayed from your truth out of fear. It can quiet the ego and show you how to appreciate your self-worth and pride in a balanced, loving, humble way. It teaches lessons of attachment and detachment from your surroundings in a way that serves your higher self. And I am presence. What do you need to detach from to serve your highest good at this time? An activating and enhancing stone, Topaz attunes you to the highest forces in the universe, helping you get things done and move forward, bestowing the gifts of wisdom, strength, and success. It is one of the most potent and powerful manifesting stones. It generates abundance within and around you in alignment with what is appropriate and harmonious for your highest path. It links with your solar plexus chakra, activating and enhancing your willpower. Aligning with Golden Topaz helps us realize that anything is possible as long as we stay dedicated, focused, and in the heart. Allow Golden Topaz to sink into your heart to nurture and illuminate all parts of you that wish to be seen at this time. When you move with the energies of this stone, you bring close Lord Lanto, master of the second yellow ray of illumination, wisdom, and education, as well as Master Kuthimi, Gautama, Buddha, and Lord Ganesha. I'm really sorry about my pronunciation. I struggle with word finding sometimes. I do have a neurological disability. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, I promise. Yellow Rose. As Topaz is such a high, clear vibration, it needed another similar frequency to pair with. The rose vibrates at a high electrical frequency with a powerful energy field, giving it the mantle of one of the highest vibrating flowers on Earth. When smelled, it is opened up fully within your heart. Her colour connects with the solar plexus, but she speaks of connecting you to the divine mind through your crown. We cannot access the divine mind or the mind of Christ in all things while in the 3D matrix where we live. We need to journey through the heart, up and out. We need to totally surrender to the truth that we know and control nothing. By emptying ourselves, the divine mind draws closer. Rose comes in to hold your hand through this, to offer you friendly, non-judgmental companionship as you come to these realizations. It is much like stepping into the void, the feeling of a deep need to empty yourself and surrender to something greater than you. She says, surrender yourself to light and dark. Okay, cool. Okay, we will come back to the card meaning, but what I want to do first of all is ground this reading by spraying the scent you've chosen, Ambery Saffron. That is delicious. I feel like I'm going to be stating the obvious here, but this scent even just feels very abundant and very elevated and very refined, and it's not necessarily like a loud or flashy, showy, look at me, attention-seeking abundance. This feels like subtle luxury is what I want to say. You could have messages in pile 3 because I am getting a little bit of overlap with pile 3, but there is definitely something to do with like an inner knowing that you guys are worthy of more and that you are ready for more fundamentally, and that also like you don't need to force things to happen. You don't need to beg or chase or over explain to receive anything. You know, it did say in the guidebook, let go of control. Even just with this concept of like elevated abundance that's coming through, like there isn't a need to control. This scent to me reads very polished. There's an expensive, almost subdued isn't the right word, almost untouchable or exclusive energy. It feels clean. It feels airy and sophisticated. Like this is the kind of person who walks past you and you just know that they have amazing taste in everything. That is you. To me, this reads like, you know, crisp white shirts, striking gold jewelry, silk, cashmere, put together neutrals, perfect flawless skin with minimalistic makeup, but it's beautiful. It's always put together. A particular expensive coffee, a low, sleek, slick back bun, a beautiful home, a beautiful apartment, a luxury hotel. It's like quality over quantity. Yeah, that is the message I'm getting here, quality over quantity. And I think this says a lot about the kind of chapter you guys are moving into, the kind of sweet chapter that you're moving into. This feels like you guys are becoming more selective and more determined and less willing to waste your energy on things that just do not vibe with the kind of life that you are currently trying to build. So the sweet thing blooming in your life, yes, it's connected to abundance, it's connected to getting more, but it's not more at the cost of quality. It's deep alignment. It's not like, let's fill up our basket with loads of excess plastic shit that's going to break within a few days of having it. It's like, let's invest in something worthwhile. And the result of that is more of what you want rather than just more of the plastic shit, if that makes sense. It's more for less. I'm hearing it's more for less. You get more for less. So you don't need like all of the things in the world to invest in this, but what you get back is more than you could have ever dreamt of. That is what I'm hearing. Yeah, this pile doesn't feel necessarily like the sweet thing that's happening to you is just like a random burst of good luck. You could be stepping into like your lucky girl, guy, non-binary person era, but it feels more like the abundance is starting to match your frequency because you have chosen this, and you have chosen to no longer be available for everything and everyone. And talking about this fragrance for a second, Ambery Saffron, of course, saffron is one of the standout notes, and that really stood out to me in a spiritual sense for this pile because saffron is often connected to purity and to enlightenment, but also to prosperity, and also like divine connection and protection too, like that sacredness that's there. So there's something here about your energy being elevated and purified. You guys, it feels like you are becoming much less interested in chaos or drama or emotional mess or scarcity thinking or comparison or people who constantly pull you out of your peace and disrupt you. The jasmine note also feels significant to me too, because spiritually, jasmine is linked with divine feminine energy. It can be linked to spiritual awakening, also love, devotion, heart healing, sensuality, and higher consciousness. So for some of you, this next chapter could involve deepening love, whether that's with another person or with yourself, emotional renewal, also like feeling spiritually guided and being able to reconnect more with your intuition, or potentially opening your heart again after a period where you may have felt a little bit closed off or disappointed by something or someone. It could be something to do with sweetness that expands after you are able to see things from a higher vantage point because you're able to detach from what is unimportant or not aligned. It's something like that. There's also a note of plum in this, and I think plum is a really beautiful symbol of resilience and renewal, and again, prosperity. It can be connected to blooming through the cold, is what I want to say. So for a lot of you, I feel like the sweetness, and plums literally are like super sweet as well. Well, if you get a nice plum, it's super sweet. So it could be some sweetness blooming in your life after a winter period. I don't mean like a literal winter, although of course we are in summer now. We're coming into summer from spring, but I don't mean it like that. I just mean a difficult season, like a time where you had to be strong, a time that you were really tested. And maybe a time where you had to sort of be very composed and patient. And maybe at times this was a period where you even felt lonely while you waited for things to change. And I think things are changing, and that's where they're getting really sweet. Even the scent of amber, the amber note in this, that brings this huge energy of warmth, of protection, of solar plexus healing, of personal power, of emotional balance, and of confidence. And then the oak moss note as well, that brings the earth element into this. It's this grounding feeling, this ancestral wisdom, this rootedness, this stability, this feeling of like nothing can knock you off your path. So this pile feels very spiritual, but also the spiritual shows up in a real world way. So this could look like, some tangible examples. This could be literally more money coming in, better work opportunities. This could be feeling more respected in your career. This could be attracting higher quality connections. This could be you moving into a nicer home or improving your space, elevating it. This could be you investing in your physical self more. This could be you becoming more confident and certain in terms of your decisions. This could be you releasing any sort of scarcity mindset. This could be you being seen as very successful or capable and standing in your power, and you gaining more peace and stability and emotional security, and just choosing all of the quality things over all of the chaotic things. And yeah, going back to this golden topaz, of course, being connected with abundance and raising your vibration, it's that vitality. So you could be finding a lot more vitality returning to your physical body, and it makes it a lot easier to tap into your personal power and to manifest. So there's that element, but what I also love about this is that, this doesn't feel like something that's super ego driven. This doesn't feel like an energy that's like, I need to prove that I'm the best and I'm better than everyone. This feels like a balanced sense of pride. It's having a very healthy self-worth. It's somebody who knows what they bring to the table without needing to perform or needing to overcompensate. And, even with the guidebook that talks about golden topaz helping you recognize lies and illusions and self-sabotage, or, patterns that could have kept you trapped, or ways you may have strayed from your own truth out of fear. So for some of you, the abundance blooming in your life might actually begin with a burst of clarity, a realization that could have already happened. It could be happening right now. It could happen very soon, but it's a moment where you finally see yourself very clearly, and you look at your life and it really sinks in, like what's been draining you or distracting you or limiting you, or, keeping you smaller than you actually are. So, some tangible examples of that could be you undercharging for your work. It could be staying in environments where you are being undervalued, underpaid, or just not respected. It could be you dimming your intelligence, like not using your talents to the full capacity. It could be you pretending that you want less than you do, like just settling, or, you know, tolerating inconsistent people. It could be letting fear make decisions for you. It could be confusing humility with hiding, or it could be attaching some of your worth to external validation. But with this yellow rose, you know, that brings in this really beautiful heart and solar plexus energy. And, you know, it talks about joy and wisdom and friendship and optimism and enlightenment and support, and also like divine companionship, right? And I love that, because if you felt lonely within this, you're not going to feel lonely, okay? This isn't like I'm doing everything I can to make it to the top, but I'm going to have to sacrifice my relationships, or I'm going to have to lose friendships along the way. If you do lose anything like that, it's because it wasn't meant to be there. I need you to know that, because this is like you're only getting better. This is only expanding. But again, it's quality over quantity. So if you feel like you've been trying to hold on to something and it feels like a sacrifice has to be made for you to get what you want, it's for a reason. Like, something is not meant to be in your life if it feels like you have to sacrifice what you truly want in order to have it. And obviously, you know, I don't claim to know everybody's personal situations, but I feel like I need you guys to know that, because some of you are asking, like, to have this thing, I have to give up something else, and you don't. But one of the things you want, it might come through to you in a different form, and that's the caveat here. But you shouldn't have to pretend that you want less. You know, this is abundance that is heart-led. It's not like, it doesn't feel like sacrifice. This is abundance that still allows you to be kind and generous and soft and warm and connected, yes, with other people, but also with yourself. Like, it's not you telling yourself, oh, because I'm so invested in this, I'm not showing up for this other thing. It's not you getting down on yourself like that. It's like you feel as though you can have it all. That is the sweet thing that's coming to you, and that is going to make sense when it makes sense. I know that sounds like so annoying, but it's going to make sense when this realization hits you. I think as well, importantly, you know, the guidebook spoke about light missions and reactivations and raising your vibration, but also surrendering, like allowing yourself to be led by something greater. So for some of you, this sweet next chapter could involve connecting or reconnecting with your purpose in a really significant way. And when we talk about light missions, you know, that doesn't have to mean you are saving the entire planet or becoming a spiritual leader if that's not what you want. Sometimes it simply means you are being called to bring more light into the spaces you already exist in. So that could look like creating something that uplifts people. It could be teaching or mentoring others. It could be becoming more visible in your line of work or in your passion projects. It could be healing family patterns. It could be sharing wisdom from your own experiences. It could be building a ethical or, you know, environmentally friendly or a heart-led business idea. It could be being a calmer presence within your community. It could be making art or content or music or writing that helps people feel less alone. It could be just generally choosing a life that reflects your actual values. And I think we mentioned fire energy, Aries, Leo, Sag might be relevant here, but this is Topaz, so November could also be relevant, Scorpio or Sag energy. Well, we already mentioned Sag, but November birthdays might be significant. But yeah, more than anything, this feels very solar. It feels very golden and bright and warm, like you guys' confidence is really coming back online and into the spotlight, and you're not shying away from it. You're leaning into it. Butterflies could be an extra confirmation for you guys as well, the colour yellow. Some of you guys could be going blonde. I know that's really random. Some of you could have used a toner that like makes your hair less brassy or less yellow or something. You know, you can get those blonde toners. Yeah, I don't know why that's coming through. But powerful, I feel like the sweetest thing blooming in your life is the fact that this abundance, it feels aligned with your higher self. It's not about more just for the sake of having more, but it's about having like more peace and more purpose and more confidence and more stability and more beauty and more support and more proof that you really can build a life that feels as good as it looks. It's not just about looking good to people, it's something that feels good on the inside. And I feel like this is an excellent time to move along to your tarot. So yeah, let's do that. Let's just go right ahead and do that. Okay, so we have the King of Wands. That is such an exciting start. I'm clarifying the King of Wands. We have Judgment. Oh my god, that is massive. Pile 4. We have got the Queen of Wands. We love her. And clarifying the Queen of Wands, we have Strength reversed. Okay, that makes sense. I get it. I do get it. And we have got the Ace of Pentacles. I think we got that in pile 1. Just clarifying the Ace of Pentacles. We have the King of Swords. Oh my god, so much regal energy coming through. You guys are absolute bosses. And we have the Magician. Yeah, hella powerful. And clarifying the Magician, we have the Page of Cups. Oh, that is so beautiful. I love this energy so much. Okay, powerful. Throughout this entire reading so far, Spirit keeps bringing me back to this idea that your next chapter, the beautiful, sweet thing that's blooming for you, it's less about, chasing things desperately and more about just becoming energetically aligned with the kind of life you actually want to live. Like, the reason opportunities and confidence and abundance and recognition are going to begin flowing towards you guys with so much force, it's because you're now no longer constantly abandoning yourself trying to fit into environments that were never really designed for you in the first place, And I've often gotten this quote, this has come through on multiple readings, I can't remember the full quote, but it's the quote about, like, if you judge a fish on its ability to ride a bike or something like that. I'm sure you get the idea of the quote. I'm not going to go into it again because I've mentioned it before, and I've already probably repeated myself a lot in this reading. I think I said earlier, I'm sorry, I'm a little bit brain foggy today. But yeah, it's like you were trying to force yourself into thinking you had to do more or be more to get this abundance and get what you want. But it's maybe more so that your qualities and your innate gifts and what you really have to offer the world, what would be amazing in terms of you finding your personal power and really showcasing your abilities and, refining and defining and living in your purpose, that wasn't being utilized. Like, no matter how hard you tried, you couldn't utilize that in the ways you needed it to be utilized because it wasn't being received the way it should have been received. But this is about, like, doing things on your terms and defining that purpose for yourself. Because, of course, the very first thing we have here is that King of Wands clarified by Judgment, and that feels absolutely huge to me. Like, all of this regal Wands energy, we mentioned fire, but also swords, it's like, oh, that is crazy. Like, that is so crazy powerful. You don't even know. But, oh, the King of Wands energy, that is somebody who, you have a presence. You've always had a presence, right? You know that. But you naturally command attention when you walk into a room. That is you, okay? And you've never tried to demand it, but you have this innate vision and this direction and this sunshine and confidence radiating from you naturally. And the sweet thing is you are becoming so much more certain about who you are, and you're realizing that power and you're taking it in your hands and shaping it into what you want it to be and putting it into something heart-led and something meaningful. You're becoming much more clear about the kind of life you want to build. And with all this sort of solar energy coming through, this to me feels very connected to leadership energy in some area of your life. And it doesn't necessarily have to be leadership in the stereotypical sense of becoming somebody's boss or, everybody watching you while you do a speech at work. It doesn't have to be that, right? It doesn't have to be that stereotypical. Although for some of you, yes, maybe it could be, try not to be scared of that because you were born for it. But it's more so this feeling of, like, you becoming the authority within your own life instead of, like, constantly outsourcing your worth or direction to other people's opinions and the kind of box that they place you in. The most literal definition of becoming your own authority in the tangible world could be like starting your own business or something. That's coming through. And you don't need more to do that. You just need the right tools, quality over quantity. If this is like you want to be a content creator, it's just one example. It doesn't have to be that, of course. This is just a random example, but I'm thinking of, like, you don't need 10 different pieces of equipment. You just need one good camera or one good microphone or something. Do you know what I mean? That could be the thing that elevates you. You don't need to wait till you have absolutely every tiny little piece of equipment that you could possibly ever need. You just need the one good camera and you can get started and things can really get going, the ball can get rolling. And I think you're realising that. But, well, yeah, you are realising that because we have Judgment. So that's that moment of, like, oh my God, clarity, awakening. You're like, oh, it makes sense now. Like, oh, this is what I'm doing. Like, I get it. Oh, I feel pulled in this direction. And you knew that there was something there all along, but, maybe you weren't fully ready to embody it yet. But it's like you're reaching this point, this new sweet phase of your life where you can no longer comfortably stay inside old versions of yourself that were built around fear or shrinking or people pleasing or being digestible. And this is a big message that came through in pile 3. But yeah, it's like you're breaking out of that now. And oh, it feels so good to break out of it. So yeah, this could be you stepping into leadership roles, becoming a lot more visible in terms of your work. Like we said, starting your own business, your own endeavor, being in charge. This could be you charging properly for all the work you do, or speaking with more authority, more confidence. This could be you refining and actually becoming more selective with your energy because you know you are destined for bigger things. This could be you feeling spiritually called down a particular path to something bigger and feeling like you can really step up and you can take action because you are meant for this role. There is nobody who can do it better than you. Like, you're finally starting to believe that and starting to trust your own judgment instead of second guessing yourself. So you are actually beginning to take your goals more seriously, and life does start to become much sweeter after that, especially if, you know, this is connected to some sort of light mission. It feels like what you're going to be doing is actually having an impact. You do definitely feel like a pile where you are supposed to impact others through your presence, through your perspective, through your work, your creativity, or just your energy generally. So with this Queen of Wands and with the Strength reversed, it feels like Spirit is highlighting, first and foremost, the confidence that is developing within you, the confidence that's unfolding, but also the vulnerability that you are still healing at the same time. Because the Queen of Wands energy naturally carries warmth and magnetism and visibility. It's that kind of energy where people are inexplicably drawn to you because you do have this innate vibe of being self-assured, but also very creative and expressive and comfortable with taking up space. And I think a lot of you already very much have that energy and that presence that we spoke about, or you are slowly growing into that more and more during this next chapter. So you might find that people genuinely just start noticing you more, or listening to you more, respecting you more, or just taking your ideas more seriously, like actually listening to you, or feeling drawn towards your energy, whether it's socially, romantically, professionally. It's like opportunities circling you, people orbiting you because you are so magnetic. That's the sweet energy that you're stepping into. But what's interesting is with the Strength reversed, clarifying this energy, it makes me feel like some of you internally, you still don't quite fully see yourselves the way other people see you yet. Like, there are still moments where insecurity creeps in, and that's okay. You know, there might be some moments where you do question yourself, or you minimize yourself, or you worry that you're somehow too much or not enough at the exact same time. I think that's something we did mention in Pile 3. But honestly, with everything we've talked about, especially with like the Golden Topaz, the guidebook referencing like fear-based patterns, that makes a lot of sense, because I think some of you have just become very used to kind of dimming yourselves or staying a little bit emotionally guarded in situations that perhaps feel unfamiliar at first. But what I really like and what I really value about this combination here is that it feels like Spirit is redefining what strength actually means for you guys, because, you know, this doesn't feel like you guys forcing yourself to just appear perfect or, you know, completely emotionally invulnerable. It feels more grounded. It feels like sharing your vulnerability in some way is actually what leads to more abundance. And I don't know how that's going to work, but I guess if some element of what you're healing or your vulnerability shows up in the way you talk about your own personal experiences, or it shows up in your artwork, that is actually going to be the thing that people feel drawn to and the thing that people connect with most. And that's what leads to the most abundance. And you are learning that aspect of yourself is incredibly powerful. That emotional honesty. You know, confidence doesn't have to mean proving that you are invulnerable to absolutely everything. Some of you could be healing your relationship with visibility, rejection, self-worth, self-trust, praise, vulnerability, taking up space. And that feels really profound here, to be honest. And then we have the Ace of Pentacles clarified by the King of Swords. And that very much feels like the real world abundance we've been talking about. Because, of course, spiritually speaking, you know, this pile has all this beautiful higher consciousness, manifestation, abundance, solar plexus activation energy surrounding it. But the tarot is showing tangible things here with the Ace of Pentacles. Tangible opportunities, tangible growth, tangible stability, money, job, security, whatever the case may be. You know, the Ace of Pentacles feels like a new beginning that has this long-term potential attached to it. It's planting the seed and something solid and sustainable growing from it. Something that can actually grow properly over time instead of just disappearing as quickly as it arrived. It's not something that's going to like burn fast and burn out. It's something that can actually go the distance. And clarified by that King of Swords, this feels very like well thought through and intentional and strategic. Like, a lot of logic went into this decision. It feels like you're finally going to be making decisions that are much clearer and much more self-respecting as well, is what I want to say. Like, your mindset is clear, this makes sense, this is the logical decision, this aligns, and this can grow. Like, there's a certainty to it, there's a knowing. There's like you, I don't want to say being a bit of a smarty pants, but you do know, you know what you know. You're like, yeah, this is going to work because you've worked it out, you've been logical about it. So this could involve something sweet regarding like a career opportunity or a financial improvement or, you know, contracts, business offers, an investment, something that moves you towards your long-term stability. This could be you becoming more disciplined with your goals and being like, yeah, I got this, I know what I'm doing. This could be you creating healthier boundaries with the people around you. This could be you building something sustainable for your future, with your future in mind. This could be you feeling like you have the intellectual knowledge to carry you through. You know what you know now, and nobody can take that innate wisdom from you, and you can use it to propel yourself forward, and you have the power to do that. Because, you know, we have the Magician clarified by the Page of Cups, and this just feels like a really amazing, beautiful, sweet note to end on, because this feels like manifestation mixed with that emotional openness and that creativity returning again. Because throughout this whole reading, there's been this very like refined, elevated, ambitious energy coming through, but the Page of Cups reminds me that underneath all of this, there is still heart there. There's still like softness and wonder and sensitivity. There's curiosity, there's whimsy, there's emotional, heart-led openness. And I think some of you are reconnecting with parts of yourselves that maybe got buried under survival mode and responsibility. That Magician very much feels like somebody realizing that they do have the ability to create a different life for themselves, not through force or through illusion, but because they are finally beginning to believe they deserve more than survival mode. They deserve to dream. So yeah, this next sweet chapter could absolutely involve, you know, more creative breakthroughs. It's like once the tangible things or once the logistics are finalized, we can dream again and we can really get creative with it. And it's not just about like what will work. So for example, if we start off with like, this is the business idea, I've thought everything through. Once it gets off the ground with that Ace of Pentacles and it's like, oh, I've got my budget, I know what I'm doing financially, I have this amount to spend. Then comes the fun stuff of getting creative and being like, oh, well, you know, child me always dreamed of doing this with my business if I had the resources. And so you do that, you get creative with it, you lean into that sort of sense of wonder and whimsy. It could be you noticing that once everything is in place in terms of the logistics and the tangible things, your manifestations really start to speed up. This could be romantic connections or connections generally that make you feel more in tune with your own personal power. It doesn't feel like your power is taken away from you. This could be healing some kind of attachment wound. For instance, if you felt like if you fell for somebody in a relationship, if you fell for someone you were dating, that made you not strong or that took away some of your power. This is about a connection that actually instills more of that sense of power within you, and it makes you feel like, oh my god, I can be soft, but I can also be strong. I can love deeply, but I can also be deeply in touch with myself. It's not losing yourself in somebody else, nor is it pretending that you don't want a relationship because you feel like you have to be on guard. This could be a deeper sense of intuition. It could be more exciting offers or opportunities. It could be reconnecting with a creative side of you that makes you feel joyful and inspired again, and it makes you feel passionate about life. This could be you becoming more emotionally expressive and more able to articulate your feelings without feeling the need to shut yourself down. This could be you finally believing in your own potential and feeling really amazing about that. The sweetest thing blooming in your life is not only abundance, but it's this sense of self-belief that actually creates the abundance and creates this tangible change around you. Because for you guys, this honestly feels like somebody stepping into a chapter where their inner world and outer world, they begin matching each other more closely, essentially. It's like your confidence and your standards and your peace and your abundance and your sense of self are all actually beginning to align properly now. And that feels so, so, so powerful. So that is what I'm getting for you, Powerful. I really, really hope you enjoyed this reading today. If you did like the reading, please do me a massive favour. Please like the video. Please comment if you get a chance. Let me know what resonated. Or if you don't feel comfortable, let me know what resonated. Even just telling me which pile you picked or leaving an emoji would help me massively. The best way to support a small channel like mine and a small creator like me is to like, comment, hype, share, and subscribe. Any one of those things would help me more than you could ever know. And I would just appreciate it so, so much. I really appreciate you if you take the time to do any of that stuff. With that said, I just want to thank you so, so much for being here. Thank you for listening. Take care. I'm sending lots of love to you, and I will see you in the next one, Powerful.